What if I told you that Adam and Eve were not the first beings to walk the earth? What if there was a forgotten age before humanity, an era linked to Lucifer himself, when he was believed to rule over magnificent realms long before chaos entered the world? And would you dare to consider the possibility that the moon is not entirely natural at all, but a hollow, artificial satellite placed into orbit to illuminate the Earth? In today's video, we will gently pull back the veil on a prehistoric world that even many historians admit remains deeply misunderstood. You will be invited to explore accounts suggesting that humanity has faced complete destruction not once, but as many as 81 times, and that each time only a small remnant survived, beginning again from nothing in cold, dark caves. We will look into ancient legends describing lost civilizations, from the Gandaya people said to possess a third eye, to giants towering over 7 meters tall, who were believed to have lived alongside early humans and even creatures we now call dinosaurs. And we will reflect on a profound idea found in certain theological interpretations that the earth itself was created as a unique realm of testing a final opportunity for fallen beings from heaven to repent, be refined, and return to God's divine order. Set aside assumptions for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not merely an alternative view of history. It is an invitation to question the very origins of who we are. Tonight, let us journey backward through time together and ask a question few dare to face. What truly existed before Adam and Eve? How was this universe created? Everyone knows that God used 6 days to create the world and humanity. But the question remains, why did God create heaven, earth, and humankind in the first place? The Bible does not give a clear, explicit explanation for this. Today, the most commonly accepted understanding is that God created heaven, earth, and humanity out of love. In fact, when we look at Jesus Christ coming into the world and willingly dying on the cross to redeem mankind, God's love for humanity is no longer in doubt. However, according to the Bible itself, God is not described as the only divine being in existence. On the contrary, in many passages, Scripture uses plural language when referring to the heavenly realms. In the book of Revelation, St. John records that he saw thrones plural, and those seated upon them were given authority to judge. The appearance of multiple thrones, rather than a single one, suggests that beyond the God whom people commonly call Jehovah, there exist other divine beings at different levels of authority, all participating in the order and justice of the universe. When we broaden our perspective beyond the Bible, this picture becomes even clearer. In Eastern civilizations, creation stories do not center on a single God alone. Ancient China speaks of Pangu separating heaven and earth, and of Nüwa shaping humans from clay and breathing life into them. In the West, the Bible tells of God creating heaven, earth, and humanity in His own image. These traditions do not necessarily contradict one another. Instead, they may reflect a broader reality. In the heavenly realms, there exist many creator gods, each responsible for different realms and different forms of life. Even in Buddhism, Shakyamuni Buddha taught that the number of Buddhas and divine beings in the heavens is as countless as the sands of the Ganges River. These beings exist at different levels of the universe, far beyond the cognitive capacity of modern human understanding. This reveals that the divine universe is not a simple structure, but an extraordinarily rich system with many layers and many realms. From this perspective, another concept also deserves humble reconsideration: the idea of God being almighty. In human understanding, omnipotence is often taken to mean the ability to do absolutely anything. Yet the Bible itself reveals certain boundaries. In the book of Revelation, when the scroll sealed with 7 seals appears, no one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth is able to open it or even look inside. This shows that even the divine beings seen in the vision do not possess authority to override arrangements made at higher levels. Therefore, the title Almighty God can be understood as an expression of human reverence for God's immeasurable virtue and power relative to humanity, rather than a philosophical claim of unlimited power without any hierarchy. This is similar to how ancient people referred to emperors as 10,000 years, a language of veneration rather than a literal definition. Furthermore, ancient texts also show that when divine beings descend into the human world, they must abide by the laws of the universe. They must be born in human form, use human language, endure birth, aging, sickness, and death, and refrain from openly displaying supernatural powers that are capable of disrupting ordinary human society. This demonstrates that the universe operates according to strict and impartial laws, which even divine beings respect. All of this leads us toward a deeper concept mentioned both in the Bible and in ancient philosophical systems: the existence of a being higher than all known gods. Many sources refer to this being as the Creator or the Supreme Creator. According to this understanding, gods such as Jehovah or Nüwa are not the ultimate source of all creation, but beings commissioned by the Creator to carry out creative work within specific realms, forming humanity according to their own images and characteristics. From the perspective of spiritual cultivation, the universe is understood as an integrated whole, formed by the boundless wisdom of the Creator, who is regarded as the fundamental source of all creation. This wisdom does not merely shape the outward form of the universe, but also arranges its order laws and living beings across different levels, allowing the entire cosmos to function in harmony. According to this explanation, the universe is composed of innumerable types of particles, ranging in scale from the extremely microscopic to the unimaginably vast. These particles combine to form different forms of life and different worlds. Each cosmic level possesses its own characteristics, degree of refinement, and level of purity. Lower levels are formed by coarser particles, creating the material world that humans can see and touch. Higher levels are formed by more refined particles, giving rise to realms that human senses can scarcely perceive. For human beings, the molecular level space in which we live is considered the outermost and most superficial layer of the three realms. For those unfamiliar with the term, the three realms is an ancient concept found in Eastern philosophies, especially Buddhism and Taoism, referring to three vast domains of existence in which beings remain bound by matter desire and karmic cycles. Put simply, the three realms represent the scope in which beings remain subject to birth, aging, illness, and death, and have not yet reached liberation or the pure realms of the heavenly gods. To divine beings at higher levels, all the material particles that constitute the three realms, including atoms and molecules, are viewed as coarse and impure matter when compared with the purity of divine realms. This distinction explains why higher realms are consistently described as pure light and free from the material constraints familiar to human existence. Within this broader framework, the universe is not the creation of a single god alone, but the result of a coordinated arrangement involving many gods, all guided and commissioned by the Creator. According to ancient sources, the Creator assigned different gods to form human races according to their own images and characteristics. This explains the emergence of different human races on Earth, such as those with white, yellow, and black skin. However, the inner essence of human beings, the soul, is directly bestowed by the Creator Himself. Because of this, despite differences in appearance and culture, humanity shares common foundational values: conscience, morality, and an innate longing for the divine. This is why civilizations across the world share similar concepts of good and evil, justice, and reverence toward heaven. It is important to note that this perspective does not seek to deny the Bible. Rather, it encourages deeper reflection on the solemn justice and boundless compassion of God and the divine beings under Him. In particular, deeper study of the Bible introduces a thought-provoking interpretation often referred to as the gap theory, or the theory of recreation. According to this understanding, the world we inhabit may not be the first creation of Earth. Between the verse, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth," and the following verse, describing the earth as without form and void, there exists a vast span of unrecorded history. The original Hebrew phrase used here implies a state of devastation and ruin, resembling the aftermath of severe judgment. Some interpretations associate this condition with a great event in the distant past, such as the rebellion of Lucifer, which caused the collapse of a previous order of the world. From this perspective, the six-day creation described afterward can be understood as a restart, a restoration of Earth, designed to provide humanity with a new opportunity. In this context, Adam was not the first being ever to exist on Earth, but the beginning of a new era, arranged after a previous world had been judged and brought to an end. Under this understanding, the universe in which humanity lives today may be only one of many universes that have existed throughout the long continuum of creation. The era we are living in is not merely a continuation of the act of creation, but a profoundly precious opportunity. In this era, human beings are placed in an important position within the divine arrangement of the gods, given the responsibility to choose how to live, to choose morality, faith, and the path that leads back to the heavenly realms. So what in the end did the earth experience before the time of Adam? How did those ancient civilizations first come into being? How did they once flourish, and what caused their decline, only for everything to begin again from the very start? The cyclical development of human civilization. Historical records show that our current cycle of human civilization has developed for no more than 10,000 years, from the most primitive Stone Age societies to the highly advanced modern world we live in today. However, based on archaeological discoveries, including a large-scale nuclear reactor dated to approximately 2 billion years ago, found in the Republic of Gabon, and a metallic sphere estimated to be 2.8 billion years old. Discovered in South Africa, researchers have come to realize that highly advanced civilizations may have existed on Earth in the distant past. Clearly, none of these remains belong to the present cycle of human civilization, and therefore they are attributed to different cycles of civilization altogether. Scientists have proposed various hypotheses regarding prehistoric cultures, many of which argue that more than one cycle of civilization has existed on Earth. According to these views, the development of human civilization follows a cyclical pattern. Different civilizations have emerged, flourished, and disappeared during different periods throughout Earth's history. These prehistoric civilizations were destroyed by many kinds of catastrophic events, such as earthquakes, massive floods, volcanic eruptions, impacts from asteroids or comets, the rising or sinking of continental landmasses, or sudden and extreme climate changes. Such catastrophes wiped out civilizations in each era and caused the extinction of most life forms, leaving behind only a small number of cultural remnants. All prehistoric peoples and their civilizations vanished from the face of the earth. How exactly were these civilizations destroyed, and why? Clues to these questions may be found within the prehistoric remains that have been uncovered. First, let us explore the continent of Atlantis, which is said to have sunk beneath the ocean approximately 12,000 years ago. Atlantis is a legendary island nation mentioned in Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. It is described as an extraordinarily prosperous civilization, one that was established and guided by divine beings. According to various accounts, the continent of Atlantis was once home to civilizations of remarkable brilliance. This land is said to have existed for millions of years, and over that vast span of time, countless civilizations emerged and disappeared in succession, like stars that flare briefly in the night sky before fading away. Within this long history, there was one period regarded as the most glorious of all, occurring more than 10,000 years ago. This era is known as the Age of the Great God Apollo. It is called the Age of Apollo because the god Apollo himself was believed to have descended into the human world, incarnating in human form to bring the wisdom of heaven to mankind. He taught the principles of the heavenly way among humans, guiding people to cultivate moral character and to live in harmony with the laws of the universe. Because of this, the Age of Apollo is regarded as the peak era of divinely transmitted Orthodox culture among the Western white civilizations. Other continents sent envoys to Atlantis to study its advanced technologies. Merchants from across the world traveled there regularly to trade for finely crafted goods. textiles, medicines, herbs, and rare plants and animals which they carried back to their homelands. The military during the age of Apollo was exceptionally powerful. They relied not only on physical strength, but also on sacred arts and spiritual disciplines to suppress rebellions and eliminate dark cultic forces. Even their navy was considered invincible. Warships bearing the symbols of Apollo traversed the oceans freely, and wherever they went, submission followed. The dynasties of the Apollo era exerted enormous influence over the global economy. Their colossal temples rose high into the sky, domes were overlaid with gold, and walls plated with silver reflected the brilliance of the sun. Inside vast marble halls, music resonated like the voices of angels, and sacred fires burned continuously day and night. They possessed ships capable of crossing great seas, structures far ahead of their time, and according to surviving fragments of records, even flying vessels capable of carrying people gliding through the sky like iron birds at sunset. It was a civilization so refined and complete that even the gods themselves were said to take notice. Yet history in the end resembles a vast stage upon which both you and I are merely participants. When the grand symphony reaches its highest crescendo, splendor fills the scene, but eventually, the curtain must fall. The magnificent Apollo civilization was no exception to this law. As it entered the age of decline, religion gradually lost its purity and became a tool for power and personal gain. This distortion stripped spiritual teachings of their sacred essence and led to the decay of social morality. Some individuals even engaged in hybridization between humans and animals, creating half-human, half-beast beings, such as creatures with the body of a horse and the head of a man. These practices, including genetic manipulation and crossbreeding, were carried out primarily for sexual purposes. Such acts horrified many, yet no one dared to stop them. Among the Atlanteans, controlling the thoughts of others was regarded as barbaric because each individual was believed to be personally responsible for the evolution of their own soul. However, this extreme respect for individual freedom created a fatal vulnerability. They lacked the means to restrain or punish evil, and those who turned away from the divine would ultimately face severe judgment. And then, that day finally arrived. The sky collapsed. The earth split open. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and raging fires followed one after another. Molten lava surged everywhere. Crimson flames engulfed the sky. The ground became like a gigantic boiling cauldron, churning violently like a ravenous beast, devouring everything in its path. And so, around 11,600 years ago, Atlantis sank beneath the sea as the result of a catastrophic earthquake that shook the entire planet. Some scholars suggest that it may once have been located in what is now the eastern seas. The waters there are relatively shallow, with an average depth of only about 60 meters. Only the highest mountain peaks of Atlantis remained above the surface, and over time, they became what we now know as Indonesia. At the same time, modern science confirms that around 12,000 years ago, Earth experienced a major global event known as the Younger Dryas. Asteroid impacts, massive earthquakes, and large-scale tsunamis during this period were powerful enough to destroy entire coastal civilizations. This timing aligns remarkably well with the moment when both Plato and Edgar Cayce said Atlantis was submerged. Taken together, the growing evidence that Atlantis may have been a real civilization on Earth further strengthens a deeper understanding human history may have passed through far more cycles of civilization than we once believed. And each collapse carries a profound warning for humanity in the present age. And Atlantis was not the only case. As humanity began to turn its attention toward the depths of the oceans, more and more traces of lost civilizations gradually came into view. At a depth of approximately 200 meters beneath the sea near the coast of Peru, explorers have discovered large stone pillars with clearly carved inscriptions alongside massive structures whose scale makes it difficult to attribute them to natural formation. Off the coast near the Strait of Gibraltar in the Atlantic Ocean, 8 underwater photographs were successfully captured, clearly revealing stone walls and stepped platforms resembling those of an ancient castle. Research suggests that these structures were submerged nearly 10,000 years ago. In the seabed west of the Bermuda Triangle, a gigantic pyramid has also been discovered resting deep beneath the ocean. Its structure closely resembles ancient pyramids found on land. Yet it is now entirely covered by seawater. Clearly, these remains are not isolated natural phenomena. They represent traces of once glorious prehistoric civilizations that were submerged beneath the ocean floor regions that in the distant past may have been continents or coastal lands. From these traces, we begin to see signs of a major catastrophe that once occurred across the entire Earth. Around 12,000 years ago, during the final phase of a previous cycle of human civilization, the world is believed to have endured a great flood that submerged vast landmasses. Over time, archaeologists have uncovered a wide range of evidence, both direct and indirect, pointing to this catastrophic event. Legends from many ancient civilizations around the world also preserve memories of this flood. In the distant past, a great deluge is said to have swept across the earth, destroying nearly all human civilizations, with only a small number of people surviving. There are more than 600 flood legends worldwide. From China, Japan, and India to Australia, Greece, Egypt, indigenous cultures of Africa, South America, and North America, countless traditions recount memories of this catastrophe. Although these legends come from different peoples and cultures, their stories and heroic figures are remarkably similar. Such widespread consistency cannot be explained simply as coincidence. The Bible contains many descriptions of this flood as well. While the Bible is a religious text, many scholars believe it also records authentic human history. Below are several passages from the Bible. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits, and every living thing under the heavens was covered. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. After 4 more months, the earth became dry. This flood, together with the submergence of entire landmasses, completely destroyed the civilizations of humanity on Earth. Only a very small number of people survived. Recent archaeological discoveries of prehistoric remains have raised a compelling question. The continent of Atlantis, recorded in ancient Greek tradition, may indeed have been destroyed by this great flood. But the Great Flood was not the only trace left behind by this global catastrophe. In a completely different part of the Earth, evidence of that disaster has been preserved in an even colder and more direct form within the eternal ice of Siberia. Sudden freezing, the permafrost, lands of Siberia. Across the vast frozen regions of Siberia, scientists over many decades have uncovered an enormous number of large mammal fossils, especially woolly mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, prehistoric horses, bison, and many other grazing animals. What is most astonishing is that many of these specimens are preserved almost intact, with skin, fur, soft tissue, and even internal organs still present after tens of thousands of years. Other fossils appear shattered, twisted together with broken tree trunks, soil rocks, and mud, suggesting that they were swept away by an immense force before being buried and frozen. The chaotic distribution of animal remains, vegetation, and sediment indicates that a violent event occurred within a very short period of time. The most revealing evidence comes from the analysis of the animal's stomach contents. Scientists discovered undigested grasses and plants inside them, vegetation belonging to a temperate climate completely inconsistent with the frigid conditions of Siberia today. This indicates that when these animals were alive, the land was once a warm green grassland, capable of sustaining vast herds of large grazing mammals. From these findings, researchers reached an important conclusion. The freezing of the Siberian region occurred with extraordinary speed. The climatic shift unfolded so suddenly that the animals had no time to adapt, no opportunity to migrate, and not even enough time to digest their final meal. Numerous scientific hypotheses have been proposed to explain this phenomenon. Some researchers suggest that a series of asteroid or comet impacts near the end of the Ice Age may have severely disrupted the atmosphere, causing global temperatures to drop rapidly. Others propose that powerful tectonic movements of the Earth's crust, combined with abrupt changes in ocean currents and atmospheric circulation, led to the region freezing within a very short span of time, although the precise cause continues to be studied. The evidence preserved in Siberia shows that Earth once experienced a large-scale catastrophe capable of altering the climate in an instant. This disaster did not affect a single region alone. It appears closely connected to other global events from the same period, including the Great Flood, the submergence of coastal continents, and the sudden end of an entire cycle of civilization. And the motionless fossils locked within the ice continue to tell humanity the story of a moment when the Earth changed in the blink of an eye, closing one ancient era and opening an entirely new chapter in the history of humankind. But this was not the only time the planet experienced a civilization-ending global catastrophe. If we continue to trace history further back in time, Earth's past reveals an even greater disaster, one far more ancient and on a scale that exceeds anything preserved in modern human memory. 65 million years ago, Earth was a world dominated by dinosaurs. Scientists estimate that dinosaurs lived on this planet for an extraordinarily long span of time, exceeding 140 million years. During their research, they have also encountered controversial evidence suggesting that human beings may have once coexisted with dinosaurs. In the riverbed of the Paluxy River in Texas, numerous dinosaur footprints from the Cretaceous period have been discovered. What drew particular attention from archaeologists was the discovery of 12 fossilized human footprints located only about 18.5 inches from the dinosaur tracks. Even more striking, one human footprint overlaps directly with a dinosaur footprint, as if both beings had stepped onto the same wet, muddy surface during the same moment in time. Scientists cut and analyzed these fossil samples. The results revealed compressed and deformed sediment layers beneath the footprints, indicating that they were formed when the surface was still soft, rather than being carved or fabricated at a later time. In nearby terrain, researchers also uncovered what is believed to be a fossilized human finger bone and a stone axe crafted by human hands. These astonishing traces are not limited to North America. Similar discoveries have emerged in South America as well. In a cave in Peru, explorers uncovered thousands of stone artworks, with some estimated to be as old as 200 million years. Among them are especially startling images, a pilot operating a strange flying object above a herd of dinosaurs, and scenes of humans attacking dinosaurs with axes. These carvings do not resemble primitive or symbolic art. Instead, they display detailed observation, accurate proportions, and vivid scenes, as if the creators had witnessed these creatures firsthand. From these discoveries, a bold hypothesis has emerged. A highly developed human civilization may have once existed on Earth, living alongside dinosaurs in a very distant era. Geological research shows that dinosaurs disappeared abruptly around 65 million years ago. This extinction event occurred on a global scale, affecting nearly all large life forms on the planet. Sedimentary layers from the same period show evidence of massive impacts, intense volcanic activity, and sudden shifts in global climate. One explanation under serious consideration is that Earth experienced an unprecedented catastrophe at that time, one powerful enough to destroy an ancient human civilization, along with most of the planet's ecosystems, including the dinosaurs. Such a disaster may have erased nearly all surface evidence, leaving only scattered fragments of memory buried deep within stone, mud, and time. If this interpretation is correct, then the event 65 million years ago marked not only the end of the age of dinosaurs, but possibly the conclusion of a very ancient cycle of human civilization. A chapter of history long concealed by time, now slowly resurfacing through the traces left hidden within the Earth itself. And it does not stop there. The next mysterious site is the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro, a civilization believed to have been destroyed by a sudden and extreme rise in temperature. The archaeological remains of Mohenjo-Daro were discovered in the Indus Valley in what is now modern-day Pakistan. Excavations began in the 1920s and continue to this day. What has already been uncovered reveals that the people of Mohenjo-Daro had achieved a remarkably advanced level of civilization, far beyond what is typically expected of ancient urban societies. Homes in Mohenjo-Daro were built with standardized fired bricks following consistent architectural plans. Even more striking, every household was equipped with a fully enclosed and highly advanced drainage system. Wastewater from upper-level toilets flowed through pipes embedded inside the walls and was directed into private cesspits, where designated access points allowed for regular cleaning and maintenance. Some homes even featured built-in refuse chutes, enabling household waste to be dropped directly from upper floors. A concept that many modern cities have only adopted in recent times. The city itself was laid out in a grid pattern with straight streets, clearly defined residential and public areas, and an integrated sewage system designed as a single unified network. These discoveries show that Mohenjo-Daro was not a primitive settlement, but a large, well-managed metropolis with levels of engineering, sanitation, and urban planning far ahead of its era. Yet the most unsettling aspect lies in how this city came to an end. Numerous human skeletons have been found scattered across streets and inside buildings. These individuals were not buried according to any funerary customs. Instead, they appear to have died exactly where they were carrying out their daily activities. The positions of the skeletons suggest that death arrived suddenly without warning and without time for evacuation or preparation. One archaeologist involved in the excavation once remarked, "It is clear that they all died at the same time due to some sudden change." This observation led to many proposed explanations, including disease warfare, internal conflict, or even mass suicide. Yet none of these scenarios adequately explains how an entire population could have perished almost simultaneously in the midst of ordinary daily life. An Indian archaeologist conducted detailed examinations of the skeletal remains and identified unusual markings on the bones. Some bones show evidence of exposure to extremely high temperatures for a very short duration. These traces do not resemble damage caused by conventional fires. Instead, they point to a powerful heat source that erupted suddenly and over a wide area. At the same time, researchers discovered layers of soil and bricks at Mohenjo-Daro that appear to have been partially melted, as if exposed to temperatures far exceeding those of natural fires. Some samples even show signs of vitrification, a process in which materials turn glass-like under intense heat. Based on these findings, scientists have proposed several hypotheses. Some suggest that Mohenjo-Daro may have been affected by a massive volcanic event or an airburst explosion from a meteor producing intense thermal shock. Other hypotheses go further, proposing the release of an extremely powerful energy burst, comparable to the effects of a thermonuclear event occurring in a prehistoric context. While the exact cause remains under debate, researchers converge on one key conclusion. The destruction of Mohenjo-Daro and the deaths of its inhabitants were directly linked to a sudden and extreme rise in temperature, far beyond what ordinary disasters could produce. Mohenjo-Daro therefore stands not only as evidence of the high level of ancient human civilization, but also as a stark reminder that catastrophic events unfolding in a matter of moments have repeatedly brought advanced human societies to an abrupt end, even at the height of their development. Continuing to broaden our view to another continent on the opposite side of the globe, we encounter an even more difficult story to explain the story of Tiahuanaco, an ancient city that once stood near the sky itself, yet vanished almost without a trace. This place is known as Tiahuanaco, or Tiwanaku, an archaeological site located near Lake Titicaca on the Altiplano Plateau, in the region that today lies along the border between Peru and Bolivia. When archaeologists began excavations there, they uncovered something deeply puzzling. Within the soil of Tiahuanaco, they found fossils of flying fish shells, mollusks, and other marine creature species that naturally belong to ocean environments. The discoveries did not stop there. Researchers also identified the remains of carefully engineered docks with long, straight, and durable structures capable of mooring hundreds of boats at the same time. This strongly suggests that Tiahuanaco was once a major seaport where maritime trade flourished in a very distant past. Yet here lies the paradox. Today, Tiahuanaco sits at an elevation of approximately 4,000 meters above sea level. There is no ocean nearby, no tides, and the climate is cold and arid conditions entirely unsuitable for marine life. Traditional estimates place the age of the structures at around 1700 years. However, many independent researchers believe this figure does not fully reflect the true history of the site. Some of the stone blocks used in construction weigh hundreds of tons and were cut with near-perfect precision, using techniques that even modern technology approaches with caution. Famous stone gateways, such as the Gate of the Sun, reveal an advanced understanding of astronomy featuring symbols linked to solar cycles, lunar movements, and seasonal changes. This suggests that Tiahuanaco once served as a major center of religion, science, and trade within a powerful civilization. Based on geological and archaeological evidence, many scientists believe the region experienced an extreme disturbance of tectonic plates. The Altiplano Plateau may have been thrust upward violently during a relatively short period in Earth's history, lifting the ancient seaport far above sea level and transforming it into a city in the highlands. This event may be connected to large-scale tectonic movements accompanied by intense earthquakes, climate shifts, and a complete transformation of South America's landscape. Tiahuanaco, therefore, is not merely an abandoned ancient city. It stands as a vivid marker of how dramatically Earth has changed in the past. Changes powerful enough to raise an entire coastal port into the mountains and bring an ocean-linked civilization to an abrupt end. Today, the silent ruins on the high plateau continue to pose a profound question for humanity. How many flourishing civilizations once existed on Earth only to be erased by cataclysms, whose memory now survives only through stone, water, and time? The answer is very, very many. Recently, French and Egyptian archaeologists discovered several ancient cities submerged beneath the sea, near the port city of Alexandria in Egypt. These cities are estimated to have been built around the 6th or 7th century before Christ, during the era of the pharaohs. Their names were frequently mentioned in Greek plays, ancient travel guides, and mythological accounts. This marks the first time physical evidence has been found, confirming that these cities truly existed. When archaeologists descended to the seafloor, they were stunned by what they saw: remarkably well-preserved structures, magnificent temples, surprisingly advanced harbors, and colossal statues depicting everyday life during the age of the pharaohs. The entire city appears to have been frozen in a distant moment of the past. Observing these underwater cities, researchers can see that urban citizens during the pharaonic era lived well. To enjoy life, they built spacious and well-lit buildings with carefully designed ventilation systems, toilets, and bathing facilities, large outdoor public spaces, and a sophisticated urban water supply network. These cities were suddenly destroyed in a single night at the height of their prosperity around 1200 years ago. Why did they vanish so abruptly? Archaeologists have proposed that a powerful earthquake may have destroyed these cities. The earthquake is believed to have occurred in the 7th or 8th century after Christ, since coins and valuables recovered by divers date to the Byzantine period. Researchers have attempted to reconstruct the night of the catastrophe 12 centuries ago. A massive earthquake split the city into sections, and a deep chasm opened at its very center. Water surged upward through the rupture, instantly swallowing the city, its buildings, and its people. More and more water flooded in, and the ground collapsed into the sea. Before long, the entire city disappeared beneath the deep ocean. Countless lives were buried under the sea. Almost no one escaped the disaster. Seen together from Atlantis, submerged deep beneath the Atlantic, to Mohenjo-Daro, destroyed by overwhelming heat, to Tiahuanaco, lifted high into the mountains, and finally to the ancient cities resting beneath the waters near Alexandria. These sites all tell the same story. They tell the story of societies that once reached a high level of development, lived in prosperity, order, and refinement, yet vanished in an instant as moral foundations steadily deteriorated. From this, it becomes clear that human history does not move forward in a straight, uninterrupted line. Instead, it unfolds in repeating cycles. Each cycle has its birth, its rise, its decline, and its end. And perhaps the most important lesson these buried histories offer humanity today is not fear, but awakening. For the era we are living in now, with all its scientific and technological achievements, is only a brief moment in the vast flow of time. How we choose to live, how we treat the earth, one another, and the fundamental values of morality may determine whether our civilization continues or becomes yet another chapter buried deep within the memory of stone, water, and time. The truth. The world has gone through 81 total destructions. In reality, when examining the full span of Earth's history, the planet has entered a state of complete destruction 81 times, according to spiritual investigations and cultivation insights shared by Master Li Hongji, the founder of Falun Gong. According to these explanations, human history does not move forward along a straight, endlessly progressive line. Instead, it follows a vast law-governed cycle that repeats itself across countless ages. This cycle is known as the formation, stability, decline, destruction cycle of humanity. According to cultivation sources, humanity has not appeared only once throughout the millions of years of Earth's history. Each cycle of civilization passes through 4 clearly defined stages. The first stage is formation. When human populations multiply, society gradually stabilizes, moral values are respected, and order is established. This is followed by the stage of prosperity. When knowledge accumulates, technology develops, cities are constructed, and civilization reaches a brilliant peak. After that, as the cycle enters the stage of degeneration, subtle yet profound changes begin to appear within the human heart. Morality no longer holds a central position, while material wealth and indulgence are increasingly emphasized. Finally, the entire civilization is erased by a global catastrophe, leaving behind only a very small number of survivors who are forced to begin again from a primitive way of life. Traces, such as the ancient nuclear reactor in Gabon, dated to approximately 2 billion years ago. Cities submerged deep beneath the ocean, or massive stone structures that far exceed the technical capabilities of known ancient societies today, are regarded as remnants left behind from cycles that ended long before. But what triggered the collapse of civilizations that were once so magnificent? The cause of destruction, moral decline. When a society develops rapidly in material wealth, technology, and power, while human morality fails to rise at a corresponding level, imbalance begins to accumulate. People gradually place personal interests, desire, and control above fundamental standards of being human, while reverence for the divine and heavenly principle, the universal moral order, steadily fades. When social morality declines to a certain point, and humanity turns away from faith in the divine and breaks basic ethical boundaries, that civilization enters its final stage. According to cultivation texts, the divine does not intervene emotionally, but instead acts in accordance with universal law to rearrange order and open a new cycle for humanity. It is precisely in this final phase that excessive comfort, indulgent pleasure, uncontrolled consumption, and worship of materialism appear most clearly, serving as familiar signs before catastrophe strikes. So how do these catastrophes occur? According to research, the destruction of civilization cycles unfolds in many different forms, depending on the arrangements of each era. In some cases, Earth is affected by celestial impacts, orbital shifts, or disturbances within the Milky Way, leading to abrupt climate changes and widespread collapse of living systems. In other cases, geological disasters occur on a global scale, such as the Great Flood in the time of Noah, geomagnetic pole reversals, or violent uplift and subsidence of tectonic plates, causing coastal civilizations to sink beneath the oceans. Some cycles are believed to have ended through humanity's own self-destructive actions, when large-scale wars erupt with extremely high energy levels, leaving behind vitrified land, sudden spikes in temperature, and environments no longer suitable for life to exist. However, in every catastrophe, a very small number of people are usually preserved to continue humanity. These individuals are described as those who maintained moral integrity, kindness, and faith in the divine. They carried with them a small portion of the knowledge and culture of the previous civilization, even as memories of that glorious age gradually faded with time. It is from these survivors that ancient knowledge systems such as the Bagua 8 trigrams, Zhou Yi, I Ching, Book of Changes, He 2 River Diagram, and Luo Shu Luo River Chart were passed down. These systems appeared very early in history, yet contain depths of meaning far beyond modern scientific understanding, because they are, in essence, the refined remnants of earlier civilizations. Over many generations, memories of past cycles gradually transformed into legends, myths, and symbolic stories. Humanity once again learned to speak, to walk, and to build society from nothing, entering a new cycle of formation, stability, decline, destruction. Thus, the number 81 destructions shows that human history is not an endlessly progressive journey, but a sequence of cyclical repetitions. The survival or collapse of a civilization is not determined by technological level, city size, or military strength, but by the moral foundation of humanity in its relationship with heaven, with the divine, and with its own conscience. Thus, our current civilization has existed for about 5,000 years, but it is not the only one. Long before this, the universe itself had already come into being, far, far earlier in the depths of time. When one cycle comes to an end, the old civilization fades away, yet the order of the universe continues uninterrupted. Then, at a new moment in time, different divine beings arrange, organize, and bring forth a new civilization, one that aligns with the moral standards and the state of living beings in that particular era. And so it continues. After each destruction, different gods once again recreate the earth anew. Because of this, every civilization and every region of the world preserves its own creation story. In some places, people tell of heaven and earth being separated from primordial chaos. Elsewhere, God descends and brings all things into existence through the spoken word. Some civilizations believe that humanity was formed from clay, while others believe that life emerged from water. Each story takes a different form, yet all of them point to the same truth. Life is not accidental. Everything exists by divine bestowal. Before creating Adam, how did God create a new universe? The Bible reveals that God's work of creation did not unfold in chaos or by chance, but was arranged according to a precise order, step by step, opening a world capable of sustaining life, morality, and a sacred relationship between heaven and humanity. Each day of creation carries its own meaning, like ascending steps that gradually lead to the moment when human beings appear on earth. The first day, light is brought forth. Genesis records that God created the heavens and the earth. The heavens encompass everything beyond the earth, the vast outer realms, while the earth already existed, covered with water and awaiting order. When God spoke and said that light should exist, light immediately came into being. He separated the light from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. The cycle from evening to morning was established, marking the first day of creation. From this moment, the order of time began. The second day, the sky is formed. After light had been established, God continued by creating the sky, forming an expanse that separated the waters above from the waters below. This step prepared the atmosphere, a space where life would later exist, breathe, and multiply. The sky became not only a physical space, but also a protective layer for the earth. The third day, dry land and plant life appear. God gathered the waters together so that dry land emerged. Continents and islands were formed, the seas were named, and the land was firmly established. Upon this land, God caused grass plants and trees of every kind to grow, each bearing seed according to its kind. From that moment on, the earth was clothed in green, ready to sustain higher forms of life. The fourth day, the order of the universe is completed. When the living environment was prepared, God placed the heavenly bodies in the sky, the sun to give light during the day, the moon to reflect that light at night, and countless stars. Their movements enable humanity to mark days, months, years, and seasons. From this point forward, time not only flows but becomes measurable and remembered. The fifth day, life fills the waters and the skies. God declared, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." God created the great sea creatures, every living thing that moves in the waters according to its kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." Then God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. God saw that it was good. Then came the sixth day, the pinnacle of creation, humanity. God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, after our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, all the earth, and every creeping thing that moves on the ground." And then, at the most momentous moment of all, God formed human beings from the dust of the ground, according to his own image. God created the first man, Adam. He shaped him from the dust and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. What happened next? Adam became a living being endowed with reason and moral capacity far above all other creatures. The Lord God entrusted Adam with the task of caring for the garden and gave him the responsibility of naming every living creature. The Lord God gave Adam this important command: "You may eat from every tree in the garden, except for one forbidden tree. If you eat from that tree, you will die." After some time, the Lord God said, "I will make a helper suitable for Adam." He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep, and from one of his ribs, he created a wife for him. Her name was Eve. Adam and Eve became the first family. How did Adam feel? He was so joyful that he exclaimed, "Look at whom the Lord God has made from my rib. This is someone just like me." The Lord God instructed Adam and Eve to have children and fill the earth. He desired them to joyfully work together to transform the entire earth into a paradise, a beautiful garden like Eden. And that was the sixth day of creation, the day God created humanity. Then came the seventh day, the day of rest. After 6 continuous days of creation, God entered the seventh day and rested. This rest marked the complete fulfillment of the work of creation and established a pattern for humanity: 6 days of labor and 1 day devoted to rest, reflection, and communion with God. The seventh day became a sacred sign for those who belong to God, reminding them that life exists not only for labor, but also for returning to its divine source. Therefore, for Christians, the seventh day of the week, Sunday, became a day of prayer and thanksgiving to God, the one who created them. With the completion of 7 days of creation, a new universe, a new cycle was brought into existence by God. Through this, we see that God is all-powerful and rich in mercy, and that he possesses countless wondrous ways to create all things without needing to recreate humanity again. God has arranged everything in perfect order, beautifully structured and functioning without deviation up to this very day. With the limited wisdom and understanding of humanity, we cannot fully comprehend such lofty mysteries except through the eyes of faith. Through the Word of God recorded in the Gospels, God himself is present within that Word, for the Word of God is truth, reality, and life. As a result, many people assume that the triune God no longer works, believing that after creating heaven and earth billions of years ago, God simply rested and does nothing further. The truth is that the triune God continues to work quietly, sustaining life, breath, heartbeat, and existence itself in a way that human beings can perceive through genuine faith, trust, and love for God with all their soul, mind, wisdom, and strength. For if God were to cease working, human life could not continue to exist. Reflect simply on this. Why does rain fall and then sunshine return? Why do day and night alternate? Humanity should understand that there is a creator of heaven and earth who governs rain and sunshine, day and night, weaving them together to regulate life and purify the air. If there were only day and no night, when would people find time to rest and regain strength after working tirelessly all day? And if there were only a dark and endless night, where would light come from to sustain life for humans, plants, livestock, and all living things? These simple realities are in fact miracles granted by God for humanity to enjoy. Yet people often say they simply occur naturally and then disappear naturally. Therefore give thanks to the Lord forever. I give thanks to the Lord, for without him I would not exist in this life, nor in the life to come. After the Bible describes God creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days and resting on the seventh one, truth becomes clear in the understanding of ancient humanity. The world was not the product of randomness, but the result of an intentionally established order, formed step by step and guided by purpose. Human beings were created as the center of that order, made in the image of the Creator and entrusted with the responsibility of stewarding the world. What is striking is that this worldview did not exist only within the Judeo-Christian tradition. When we move beyond the lands of the Middle East and enter the Mediterranean world, we encounter a remarkably similar pattern preserved in ancient Greek mythology. Here, instead of a single creator acting over 7 days, the story is told through the imagery of the gods dwelling on Mount Olympus. Yet the creation of humanity remains closely connected to the earth itself, to the likeness of the gods, and to a special mission assigned to humankind. It is within this framework of thought that the myth of Prometheus and Epimetheus emerges as another interpretation of the same timeless questions. Where did humans come from? Why do we bear a form resembling the divine? And why were we given intelligence and the capacity to build civilization? The historical mystery of Greece. Prometheus creates humanity. According to ancient Greek mythology, in the primordial age, when the earth was still immersed in chaos and neither light nor order had yet been fully established, the gods of Mount Olympus began arranging the foundations of the human world. Within this setting, the two divine brothers Prometheus and Epimetheus were entrusted by Zeus, the supreme god, with the responsibility of overseeing the earth and creating the living beings that would inhabit it, including humankind. The two brothers began their task by mixing clay with water, shaping the forms of countless creatures. Epimetheus, quick in eye and action by nature, created many kinds of animals and endowed each with distinct abilities to survive in the natural world. Prometheus, however, was more deliberate and thoughtful. He was not satisfied with the initial creations, for within his mind had formed a greater vision of a unique kind of being. Prometheus sought to create a creature capable of thought awareness and responsibility, one able to bear the weight of the earth itself. After 12 days and nights of devoted labor, he completed what he regarded as his most important creation. Prometheus fashioned the first man in the image of the gods themselves. With an upright posture and eyes lifted toward the heavens, symbolizing reflection and a connection to higher realms, he resolved that this being must be granted a gift that would allow it to rise above all other creatures. Thus, Prometheus bestowed upon humanity a portion of divine qualities, enabling human beings to think, to create, and to comprehend moral principles. To ensure that humanity could survive and flourish in a world that was still harsh and unforgiving, Prometheus took a decisive step. He stole the sacred fire of Zeus and carried it down to earth, giving it to humankind. That fire was not merely a source of warmth and light. It symbolized knowledge, skill, and the foundation of civilization itself. Through fire, humans learned to cook food, forge tools, build shelters, and gradually establish social life. Following this event, Zeus continued the arrangement of humanity's completion by commanding the gods to create the first woman, Pandora. Pandora was formed with harmony, grace, and vitality. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and craftsmanship, granted Pandora life and dexterity, teaching her skills such as weaving, sewing, and caring for domestic life. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and love, bestowed upon Pandora captivating appearance and natural allure. Each god contributed a portion to shape Pandora's character, beauty, and abilities. From that moment, the two divine creations, man and woman, coexisted on earth. They multiplied, learned cooperation, shared knowledge, and developed understanding. Over time, from early communities, humanity gradually formed societies, laws, cultures, and civilizations marked by their own distinctive identities. The story of Prometheus in Greek mythology therefore stands not merely as a tale of creation, but as a profound reflection of ancient Greek views on human origins. Human beings were formed from the earth, shaped in the likeness of the gods, given fire, the symbol of intelligence and civilization, and guided by moral values, skills, and order arranged by the divine. Through this myth, we see a deeply held belief that the foundations of humanity, from physical form to intellect and culture, are inseparably linked to the direct involvement of the divine in the formation of the world. But this pattern of creation does not appear only in the West. When we leave the world of Greek mythology and move eastward, humanity encounters an even more ancient creation story preserved within Chinese culture, the story of heaven and earth being separated from primordial chaos. If in Greek tradition, humanity is created after the world has already taken shape, then in Chinese legend, there must first be a great primordial being who opens the universe itself, establishes heaven and earth, and only then creates the conditions for all living beings and humanity to come into existence. This is the legend of Pangu, the one who founded the world. Eastern legend Pangu creates the universe. Chinese culture, vast and profound, traces its origins back to myths from the most ancient times. Many scholars of mythology believe that myths are the collective memory of a people preserved in the form of stories that transcend ordinary logic. Mythology researcher Wang Xiaolian once said, "Myths are the dreams of a people." This observation offers a deeply insightful way of understanding the nature of myth. A dream itself represents a unique state of time and space. Within a dream, everything can reverse, overlap, and intertwine. Layers of reality merge, separate, and shift. Myths share these same qualities. They are beautiful, mysterious, layered with meaning, and not easily explained through the linear thinking of the modern human mind. Within these collective dreams, ancient people preserved memories of the gods of transformations between heaven and earth, and of the birth of the world itself. In the flow of Chinese cultural memory, all of this begins with the story of Pangu. Pangu separates heaven and establishes earth. According to ancient legend, before heaven and earth were formed, the universe existed in a state of chaos, undivided, unshaped, like a dense, misty mass of energy, without clear direction or structure. In that state, the gods already existed long before the formation of any single universe. Beyond the universe in which humanity now lives, there were countless vast realms where higher forms of life existed. Within this ancient divine system, the being responsible for opening and nurturing our small universe was known as Pangu. Ancient texts such as San Wu Li Ji record that heaven and earth were originally like a giant egg. Within this massive chaos, Pangu was born and existed in a state of profound stillness. He sat in meditation, body and mind at peace, while the energy around him circulated slowly and harmoniously. In folk tradition, Pangu is often depicted as a giant wielding an axe to split heaven from earth. Yet when compared with older written sources, his original image is calm, balanced, and gentle, without emphasis on brute strength or violent action. The separation of heaven and earth is described as a natural unfolding of energy and order, rather than a forceful rupture. After 18,000 years, the chaotic energy began to divide. The light, clear energy rose upward and became heaven. The heavy, dense energy settled downward and became earth. Pangu stood between heaven and earth, his body and energy participating fully in this process. Each day, heaven rose by one measure, earth thickened by one measure, and Pangu himself grew by one measure, as though he were the living pillar holding heaven and earth apart. This process continued for another 18,000 years. The distance between heaven and earth expanded from tens of thousands of miles to 90,000 miles. When heaven and earth stabilized at this distance, the space of the universe at this level was completed and its fundamental order was established. Texts such as Wu Yun Li Nianji record that once heaven and earth were set, the cosmos formed and yin and yang began to circulate. Pangu's mission reached completion. At the final moment, Pangu chose to transform, offering his own life to nourish all creation. His breath spread out and became wind and clouds. The sound of his body transformed into thunder. His left eye became the sun shining brightly. His right eye became the moon, gentle and luminous. His body and limbs became towering mountains, forming the pillars of the land. His blood flowed into rivers, nourishing all living beings. His sinews became the veins of the land and its natural contours. His flesh and skin condensed into fertile soil. His hair and beard rose into the sky and became the stars. His bones and teeth turned into rock and minerals. His marrow crystallized into precious jade. His sweat fell as rain, refreshing the earth. The small creatures upon his body, when touched by the wind, transformed into human beings, becoming the people of the human world. Through this, the legend conveys a profound idea. All things in the universe originate from the divine, and within every form of existence resides a trace of divine life. When the small universe had formed, heaven and earth were stable, and all beings had come forth. Pangu's mission was fully complete. He dissolved into the universe itself, no longer appearing in a single form, yet present everywhere, in heaven and earth, in all things, and within human life itself. At first glance, this idea may seem mysterious and difficult for the modern mind to accept. Yet more than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha taught something that goes even further beyond contemporary imagination. Within a single grain of sand, there exist 3,000 great thousand worlds. According to ancient explanations, a world illuminated by a sun and a moon is called a small world. 3,000 great thousand worlds are said to be equivalent to 1 billion small worlds, corresponding to a vast galaxy. In other words, within a tiny grain of sand, there can exist a structure comparable to an entire galactic system. This concept does not appear only in Buddhist scriptures. In the film Life of Pi, there is a brief scene with very few words. Yet it leaves a deep impression. When Pi was still a child, his mother told him the story of Krishna. Krishna was mischievous from a young age and often ate dirt. One day, when his mother discovered this, she asked him to open his mouth so she could check. What shocked her was what she saw inside the sun. The moon and a sky filled with stars, with celestial bodies shining through layer upon layer of cosmic clouds. In that moment, it seemed as if the entire universe was contained within Krishna's mouth. This story is not merely cinematic fiction. In ancient Indian epics, such as the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata Purana, and Gita Govinda, Krishna is recorded as an incarnation of the god Vishnu on earth. Vishnu is the preserver among the three principal deities of Hinduism. According to tradition, Vishnu descended into the human world at the request of the earth goddess in order to remove tyrants and restore order to the world. As a child, Krishna lived among cowherds. On one occasion, after causing trouble, the cowherds complained to his foster mother, Yashoda, saying that Krishna had been lying on the ground, eating dirt again. Yashoda went to find him and scolded him, telling him he should not eat dirt. Krishna explained that he had done no such thing. Yashoda then asked him to open his mouth to check. In that very moment, she saw the entire universe in motion inside his mouth. The sight was so overwhelming that she immediately lost consciousness. The story of Krishna and the legend of Pangu, though arising from different cultures, reflect the same underlying idea. The universe can exist fully within something infinitely small, and a great form of life can encompass boundless space. Pangu separated heaven and earth using his own body to form the small universe in which humanity lives. The Milky Way and countless other galaxies move within his body. Among ancient myths, few images portray the universe as such a living and complete being. This idea also appears in Eastern Taoist thought and in ancient Greek philosophy. Both traditions convey the same understanding to humanity. The human body is a small universe. The body corresponds to the cosmos, differing only in scale. Human beings exist in the microscopic realm, while the universe exists in the macroscopic realm. Modern science, following a different path, is also approaching this understanding. When the human body is magnified, it is seen to be composed of countless cells. Each cell is made of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms, and atoms consist of nuclei and electrons. As this process continues, the structure appears to have no final endpoint. Physicists have also discovered that electrons orbit atomic nuclei in ways strikingly similar to how planets orbit the Sun. Their modes of existence and motion share many similarities, differing primarily in size. Electrons exist in the microscopic world, while planets exist in the macroscopic world. If an electron were magnified to the size of a celestial body, the human body would resemble a vast universe within which countless microscopic forms of life could exist. Conversely, if the universe we observe were infinitely reduced in scale, we would see Earth and 8 major planets orbiting the Sun, forming the solar system. Countless such systems come together to form the Milky Way. Countless galaxies form galaxy clusters, which then form superclusters. If this process of reduction continued indefinitely, could the entire universe be just a single cell within a greater living being? And if reduced even further, might we glimpse the form of the god Pangu? An ancient verse says, "We cannot know the true face of Mount Lu, because we are standing within the mountain itself." Human understanding and vision are always limited by the position from which we observe. This is why Socrates taught that true wisdom lies in recognizing one's own lack of knowledge. Before the universe and nature, humanity must maintain reverence and humility. Arrogance leads towards self-destruction. In the classic of Mountains and Seas, an ancient and mysterious Chinese text, the world is described as a living body. The section known as the 5 Treasury Mountains divides Earth into 5 major regions: east, west, south, north, and center, corresponding to the 5 internal organs of the human body. In total, there are 26 major mountain ranges, which remarkably correspond to the 26 primary meridians of the human body, including the 12 paired meridians and the Ren and Du vessels. According to this understanding, both Earth and the human body are living beings, created by the divine, and exist across multiple dimensions. Beyond the material world, we can see there are other realms beyond human perception. Earth's dragon veins and water veins may extend into higher dimensions. The strange kingdoms, demigods, mountain spirits, and sacred creatures recorded in the classic of Mountains and Seas do not belong to the physical world as we know it, but exist in other dimensional layers of Earth. In Taoism, inner alchemy also regards the human body as a complete natural world. The Neijing diagram portrays the human body as a landscape with mountains, flowing water, the sun, the moon, stars, and natural life. These images reflect what practitioners perceive when observing the inner body through cultivation, revealing the correspondence between the human form and the universe across other dimensions. In recent years, modern science has discovered that black holes not only absorb matter, but also emit new matter after a process of absorption resembling a digestive system. The universe is also known to contain vast amounts of dark matter and dark energy, while ordinary matter accounts for only a small fraction. If the universe is imagined as a living organism, energy from higher dimensions could flow through black holes into galaxies, then through the meridians of the universe into the solar system, Earth, and all natural life. This resembles how the human body absorbs food, transforms it into energy, and distributes it throughout the body to sustain life. From a personal perspective, not only humans, but also Earth and the universe itself are living beings, vast living organisms. Humans have a soul that governs the body, and the universe likewise has higher-level life forms that govern it, merging with nature into a unified whole. Modern biology has also found that each cell in the human body contains the complete information of the entire organism. Any single cell has the potential to recreate a complete body. Physicist David Bohm proposed the holographic theory of the universe, suggesting that each small part contains information about the whole. This idea was later developed further by other scientists. According to this view, a part reflects the entire system, and the system reflects the universe. In the Eastern concept of the unity of heaven and humanity, these principles have existed for a very long time, with a depth that surpasses many modern theories. These are studies and reflections at the personal level. From the Sleep Codex team regarding the legend of Pangu, separating heaven and earth, a story that not only speaks about the formation of the universe, but also invites humanity to reconsider its own place within a far greater whole. We warmly welcome viewers to share their thoughts in the comments so that we may explore these ideas together. Eastern mythology Nüwa creates humanity. After Pangu opened heaven and earth, the universe gradually filled with life. The skies stood high and vast. The land stretched wide, the galaxies shone brilliantly, plants grew, and all living beings coexisted. The world at that time carried abundant vitality, and everything moved in harmony within the natural order. Yet the universe, like living beings, also follows a cycle of growth and decline over time. Through extremely long cycles, the original vitality slowly faded. After countless ages had passed, the land became dry and barren, the scenery desolate, and traces of life grew scarce. The beings once transformed and nurtured by Pangu gradually disappeared. One day, the beautiful goddess Nüwa descended to the mortal world. She walked across the vast, empty land, surrounded by silence with no laughter or warmth of life remaining. A feeling of loneliness arose within her. From that quiet stirring came a gentle thought. This was once a beautiful world, and it needed living beings in order to continue existing and flourishing. According to legend, when heaven and earth were newly formed and the land was still without people, Nüwa used yellow earth to mold human figures. The task was immense, and even with all her effort, she could not keep up, so she devised another method. She dipped a rope into muddy clay and swung it through the air. The droplets of mud that fell to the ground transformed into human beings. This account is recorded in Taiping, Yunnan. On one occasion, Nüwa stopped beside a clear body of water. The still surface reflected her own image. Gazing at her reflection, she fell into deep thought and decided to create new life in her own likeness so that this world would have beings who could experience joy and sorrow and form bonds with one another. In that moment, a simple yet profound idea came to her. She took a rope, dipped it into soft mud, and stirred it so the clay clung to the fibers. When she lifted the rope and gently swung it, drops of mud fell to the ground and became small human figures. The instant they touched the earth, they came to life, leaping with delight and brimming with vitality. Nüwa smiled as she watched these newly born beings. She realized that humans needed the ability to reproduce on their own, so the world could continue through generations without her having to shape them by hand each time. For this reason, she prayed to the heavenly emperor for the power to bring people together. Once granted, Nüwa bestowed upon humanity the institution of marriage, teaching them to form families, bear children, and nurture future generations. Beyond this, Nüwa also brought music to the human world. She created a musical instrument known as the shenghuang, using harmonious sounds to help people cultivate their inner nature, learn emotional balance, and live in closer harmony with one another. According to the classic of mountains and seas, the Great Wilderness Western section, there were also 10 deities known as the Nüwa offspring, transformed from Nüwa's own body. These gods dwelled in vast regions, guarding important passages and quietly protecting the human world. Before leaving the mortal realm, Nüwa further nurtured and arranged these deities across remote and wild lands, entrusting them to watch over humanity, maintain order, and safeguard young life upon the earth. Upon them, later another folk tradition was passed down. During the first days of the new year, Nüwa created different living creatures. On the first day, she created chickens, on the second dogs, on the third goats, on the fourth pigs, on the fifth cattle, on the sixth horses, and on the seventh day, she used mud to create human beings. For this reason, the seventh day of the first lunar month came to be called Renri, the Day of Humanity. From that point on, the human world gradually grew more populous. Life became richer and more varied. Generations continued to multiply, and the world once again filled with the breath of living vitality. And this is the creation story of the East. Pangu formed the universe, while Nüwa created humankind, laying the foundation for life and human society. What is remarkable is that this pattern does not exist only within Chinese culture. Across many other regions of the world, ancient creation stories with strikingly similar structures have also been passed down, since antiquity. In Central America, for example, there is a legend that tells of a great creator god who originally existed within a cosmic egg. When this egg was opened, one half became the sky and the other half became the earth. This explanation closely resembles the story of Pangu, separating heaven and earth in Chinese tradition, where the cosmos emerges from a primordial state of chaos. In the text, San Wu Li Ji Shuzheng of the Three Kingdoms period recorded the legend of Pangu in clear and vivid language. Heaven and earth were originally fused together like a chicken's egg, and Pangu was born within it. After 18,000 years, heaven and earth opened apart. The light and clear qi rose upward to become heaven, while the heavy and turbid qi sank downward to become earth. Pangu stood between them. Each day heaven rose by 1 zhang, earth thickened by 1 zhang, and Pangu's body also grew by 1 zhang. After another 18,000 years, heaven became immeasurably high, earth immeasurably thick, and the distance between heaven and earth expanded to 90,000 li. Only after this did the era of the three sovereigns begin. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the world at first was nothing but a vast ocean. Upon the surface of the waters appeared a radiant egg from which the god Ra was born. Ra first created the other gods, then caused the sky goddess Nut and the earth god, Geb, to emerge from the waters. Their son, the god of wind, lifted Nut upward to form the sky, while Geb lay below as the earth. After that, Ra shaped humankind from clay, granting life and order to the world. In India, the legend of Brahma the creator describes a primordial deity who began creation through thought alone, first bringing forth water. From his own essence, he placed a seed into the waters, and that seed became a golden egg. From within the egg, Brahma was born. When he matured, Brahma lifted the upper half of the golden egg to form the heavens, pressed the lower half down to become the vast earth, and created the open space between as the sky. He then established directions, divided time into days, months, and years, and created language for humankind. In Greek mythology, the early universe was ruled by chaos after many generations of gods. A great egg was born from the union of darkness and night. From this egg emerged Eros, the god of love. When the shell broke open, heaven and earth were formed. Eros awakened the lifeless land with vital force, allowing plants, fruits, and animals to flourish. Even in Finland's epic Kalevala, a similar pattern appears. The goddess of the air descended into the sea, and a seabird built a nest and laid eggs upon her knee. When the eggs fell into the water and broke apart, the upper half of the shell became the sky. The lower half became the earth. The yolk turned into the sun, the white into the moon, and the small specks within the egg became the stars. When these legends are placed side by side, a recurring image emerges across ancient civilizations. The universe arises from a state of chaos, from a cosmic egg, from water, or from primordial energy. Heaven and earth are separated first, and only afterward do all living beings and humankind appear. Though they differ in names and details, these stories together reflect a shared memory of humanity, an enduring reflection on the origin of the cosmos and the place of human beings within a vast and ordered whole. God created human beings from clay. Could this be the truth? In the West, there is a well-known saying, "We are born from dust, and to dust we return." For thousands of years, despite vast geographical distances, differences in race, and divergent paths of civilization, the ancestors of humankind have passed down hundreds of legends to later generations that share the same core motif. The gods created human beings in their own image, using earth or clay. In the Declaration of Independence of the United States, there is a famous line that nearly everyone knows: all men are created equal. This sentence is often translated as, "Human beings are born equal," but its actual meaning is, "Human beings are created equal." It comes from the fuller statement, all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. This passage clearly reflects the faith of the founding fathers of the United States at that time. The Creator. God created human beings from dust, bestowed upon them inherent human rights, and also set moral boundaries for humanity. What is even more striking is this. In ancient times, the ancestors of humankind were scattered across different continents of the earth, living in environments and conditions vastly different from those of today. At that time, there were no mobile phones, no internet, no modern means of transportation such as airplanes or high-speed rail. Towering mountains, vast oceans, deserts, swamps, and dense jungles isolated people from one another, making communication nearly impossible. So why were the ancestors of different peoples so remarkably consistent in their accounts of human origins? Was this merely a coincidence? And why did our ancestors regard this narrative as the very root of life itself, preserving it across immense spans of time and space, passing it down from generation to generation until it has now reached you and me? Sadly, after countless transformations of history, time, and space, humanity's belief in the divine has continued to fade. As a result, fewer and fewer people today believe in the ancient account that God created human beings from clay. The immense distance of time and space has gradually blurred humanity's collective memory. In reality, over the past 100 years or so, humanity has largely abandoned thousands of years of traditional belief and become intoxicated with what science provides. The product and combination of atheism and science is now taught in most public and private universities around the world. Even in the United States, a nation founded on freedom, openly expressing religious faith in public schools has become a taboo, while atheism and the theory of evolution are taught as foundational subjects. Then, as genetic theory and quantum physics advanced, as a growing number of scientists dared to challenge mainstream voices, as media ceased to be merely a tool of manipulation and censorship, and became a doorway to truth. And as many people gradually realized that evolution is only a theory, humanity began to face a vast inner void. Since the most ancient times, in every civilization, under every mode of survival, within every philosophy, worldview, or belief system, humanity has always sought answers to the same great questions. Who are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What is the purpose of life? Are human beings the children molded from clay by the gods? Or are we merely the fortunate result of random mutations from an ancient species? And no matter how many theories are proposed, no matter how many religions or belief systems attempt to explain it, none seems to offer humanity a truly complete sense of resolution. If God created human beings, then why create them at all? Only to introduce trials leading to the fall of Adam and Eve, and then to have Jesus descend into the world to endure humiliation and suffering in order to redeem their descendants back to heaven. If God is omnipotent, why not create a world as beautiful as heaven from the beginning, instead of creating the human realm? If human beings must go to a better place to escape suffering, to be liberated from cycles of rebirth, then why not simply remove all suffering with a single gesture and bring everyone directly into the heavenly realms spoken of in Buddhism and Taoism? If the goal is a better future, why not allow humanity to have a heaven on earth? Perhaps you yourself have asked these questions before. Yet you may not realize that today we actually possess enough knowledge to begin addressing all of them. To clarify the matter of God creating human beings from clay, the first question that must be answered is this: does God exist? What is God? From ancient times to the present, across different nations and peoples around the world, humanity has held many understandings of God. Yet these understandings all acknowledge one thing: God is a higher form of life, possessing wisdom and abilities far beyond those of human beings. In the current cycle of human civilization, around the same historical period, more than 2,000 years ago, both the East and the West saw the simultaneous appearance of several renowned divine figures. In the East, there appeared Shakyamuni Buddha and Laozi. In the West, there appeared Jesus Christ. Within this context, Siddhartha Gautama the Buddha was not merely a sage or a great thinker in human history. He has been recorded as a divine being whose wisdom and spiritual capacity far surpassed the limits of ordinary human beings. He was able to see clearly the cycles of human lives, to comprehend karmic cause and effect, extending across many lifetimes, to understand why human beings experience suffering, and to discern the path through which life can transcend that suffering. In Buddhist scriptures, there are repeated accounts stating that the Buddha could observe different realms of existence within the universe, from the human realm to subtle dimensions that ordinary human perception cannot detect. He perceived the existence of the 6 realms of reincarnation, saw sentient beings born and passing away according to karmic forces, and understood that the universe operates not in chaos, but with profound order, rigor, and wisdom. Because he could perceive what ordinary people cannot see, Siddhartha Gautama was able to expound truths that go far beyond conventional human understanding. His teachings on karma, reincarnation, suffering, impermanence, letting go of attachments, and cultivating the mind were not philosophical speculation, but truths he directly realized through enlightenment. When the Buddha taught the Dharma, he did not merely communicate through language. He awakened wisdom in those who were receptive, enabling them to recognize the nature of life itself and the path back to its pure origin. Many of the Buddha's disciples, by cultivating according to his teachings, gradually came to sense higher spiritual realms themselves, thereby confirming that what the Buddha taught was not abstract theory. This capacity to perceive life and death, fully comprehend karmic law, understand the structure of the universe, and guide countless beings beyond suffering demonstrates that Siddhartha Gautama did not belong to the level of ordinary human existence. He was a noble divine being, bearing sacred authority and boundless compassion, who descended into the human world with a mission of opening a path of spiritual cultivation, offering human beings the opportunity to understand themselves and return to higher realms of existence. He is the revered divine figure of Buddhism. And within Taoism, the figure possessing the greatest authority and influence is Laozi. He is recorded as an enlightened being whose wisdom transcended the level of ordinary human perception. Even his name Laozi, meaning the old master or the ancient child, symbolically conveys a being carrying primordial wisdom that surpasses the limits of time itself. The teachings of Laozi, preserved in the Tao Te Ching Tao Te Ching, were not intended to construct a philosophical system for debating right and wrong. Instead, they directly reveal the fundamental laws governing the universe, which he called the Tao the Way. In Laozi's understanding, the Tao is not an abstract concept. It is the source from which all things arise, the invisible order that governs the movement of heaven and earth, life itself, in the course of human history. Laozi taught that the Tao gives birth to heaven, gives birth to earth, gives birth to all things, and then quietly sustains their harmonious operation. He described profound principles such as wu-wei, effortless action, alignment with nature, and the principle that softness overcomes hardness. Truths that ordinary human thinking struggles to grasp because they run counter to the prevailing mindset of struggle, possession, and control within human society. This ability to perceive the essence of the universe and human existence shows that Laozi was not merely reasoning with the human intellect, but speaking from a higher realm of wisdom. His words are concise and simple, yet the deeper one reflects upon them, the more layers of meaning emerge far beyond the expressive capacity of ordinary language. Within the Taoist tradition, Laozi is regarded as one who attained unity with the Tao through cultivation, achieving purity of body and mind and complete wisdom. He did not display miracles to inspire fear or awe, but instead guided the human heart gently back toward humility, simplicity, and harmony with heavenly principles. This absence of outward display itself reflects the power of a higher-level being, for he taught the Tao through inner awakening rather than visible authority. For Western audiences, Laozi may be understood as a counterpart to prophets or enlightened figures in the Judeo-Christian tradition, but with an Eastern character emphasizing balance rather than judgment, inner transformation rather than external conquest, and harmony with cosmic order rather than domination over the world. For this reason, Lao Tzu is revered as a divine being who descended to transmit the Tao, bearing a mission from heaven to the human world, leaving behind a path of moral cultivation that enables humanity to understand the laws of heaven, live in accordance with the Tao, and maintain balance between wisdom, morality, and life itself. The third figure is already deeply familiar to us all, the Son of God. His mission was to proclaim the truth, call humanity back to righteousness, and restore faith in God. And how did his story unfold? Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross, resurrected on the third day, and manifested many divine signs beyond human capability. He completed the mission of salvation through the offering of his own life. For this reason, Jesus Christ is also a divine being. These three figures are all great divine beings who bore the mandate of heaven. They descended from the heavenly realm into the human world to transmit heavenly truth, guide human hearts toward goodness, leave behind paths of spiritual cultivation, and prepare the way for humanity to be saved by the Creator in the final age. Throughout history, every cycle of human civilization has included gods or Buddhas who carried heavenly mandates descending from the divine realm to teach the law and impart the way. Siddhartha Gautama himself taught that before him, there had been 6 primordial Buddhas, meaning that before his time, 6 Buddhas had already descended to transmit the Dharma to humanity. The current human civilization emerged after the Great Flood. Before Siddhartha Gautama taught the Dharma, Brahmanism already existed in India. Brahmanism represents a religious tradition passed down from a previous cycle of human civilization. Likewise, before Taoism took form through Lao Tzu, the ancestors of ancient China, including the era of Fuxi, had already created a glorious Taoist cultural age. The I Ching, the 8 trigrams, Taiji, the Heitu, and the Luo Shu are all cultural essences preserved by prehistoric cultivators and transmitted to later generations. In the West, before the time of Jesus Christ, Judaism already existed as a foundational faith, preparing the way for his arrival and salvational mission. Judaism existed for thousands of years as a central belief system, serving as the spiritual and moral foundation of the ancient Middle East. It was not merely a religion worshiping one God, but a sacred covenant between heaven and humanity, established through prophets and generations of the Israelites. Judaism originated from the covenant between God and Abraham, and was reinforced through Moses, David, Solomon, and many other prophets. Throughout this history, the Jewish people believed they were chosen not for power or privilege, but because they were entrusted with the responsibility of preserving God's law and bearing witness to God's presence in the human world. The law of Moses, recorded in the Torah, established not only religious rituals, but also the foundation of social morality, justice, compassion, humility, and personal responsibility before God. These commandments clarified the boundaries between good and evil, right and wrong, purity and defilement, forming a unified moral standard for the community. Most importantly, a recurring theme throughout the Hebrew Scriptures is the promise of the Messiah. Prophets such as Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel spoke of one sent by God to bring salvation, justice, and redemption, not only for Israel, but for all nations. These prophecies contain profound details concerning the Messiah's mission, suffering, sacrifice, and role in salvation. Across centuries, hope in the Messiah sustained Jewish faith, especially during periods of exile, oppression, and trial. Within this prepared spiritual framework, centered on one God, divine law, sin, repentance, and redemption, Jesus Christ entered the world. His teachings, while surpassing traditional forms, directly fulfilled the core of the law and the prophets preserved by Judaism. In this sense, Judaism was like soil prepared over centuries, allowing the seed of the gospel to take root and flourish. Without this foundation, the meaning of redemption, the sacrifice of the cross, and eternal life would be difficult to comprehend. Thus, Judaism not only precedes Christianity historically, but also serves as a divinely arranged preparation, leading humanity toward the moment when the Savior appeared to fulfill his great mission of salvation. It is also essential to understand that when gods and Buddhas descend from the divine realm, they do not reveal their divine forms to humanity, nor openly display supernatural powers. They are born as human beings, live among humanity, and use human language to transmit the law and teach the way. The 6 primordial Buddhas. Siddhartha Gautama Laozi and Jesus Christ all followed this path. After his resurrection, Jesus still appeared to his disciples in human form. The Buddha light observed at Mount Ime is regarded as a luminous imprint from a glorious era long past. The 7 fairy maidens. Descending to the mortal world and marrying Dongyong appeared no different from ordinary village women. All of this reveals a consistent principle. When divine beings descend to the human world, they integrate into human life, quietly fulfilling heaven's mission, leaving humanity a path of moral cultivation, spiritual ascent, and hope of returning to the sacred origin of life. It is necessary to clarify that when gods and Buddhas descend from the heavenly realms into the human world, they fully integrate into the human state of existence. They take on human form, live among human beings, and use human language to transmit the law and teach the way. This path accords with the principles of the universe and the order that has been arranged since the creation of heaven and earth. The 6 primordial Buddhas, Buddha Shakyamuni Laozi and Jesus Christ, all followed this same path. After being crucified and resurrecting, Jesus continued to meet with his disciples in a familiar human form. The Buddha light that people once witnessed atop Mount Ime is regarded as a luminous remnant left from a glorious era in the history of cultivation. The legend of the 7 fairy maidens descending to the mortal world to form a bond with Dongyong likewise portrays celestial beings appearing as simple, ordinary village women. All of these accounts reveal that higher-level beings, when coming to the human world, conform to the human mode of existence. Throughout the history of cultivation, people have consistently chosen quiet and secluded environments to practice Buddhism or Taoism. In ancient times, cultivators entered deep mountains and dense forests. Later, Buddhist practitioners cultivated in temples, while Taoist practitioners cultivated in Taoist monasteries. In every era, cultivators maintained a certain distance from secular life. This approach preserves purity in cultivation and sustains the order of ordinary human society. The reason lies in the fact that during cultivation, individuals may awaken extraordinary abilities. In Buddhism, these are known as the 6 supernormal powers, referring to 6 distinct capacities. Universal principles clearly establish that such abilities serve self-cultivation and self-realization, rather than influencing the thoughts, behavior, or living conditions of ordinary human society. This rule has existed since the earliest formation of the world. Ancient Chinese wisdom expressed this principle through profound sayings. Minor seclusion lies in the mountains. Major seclusion lies in the world conveys that cultivation in seclusion is easier, while cultivation within society reveals true mastery. A true realized person does not reveal himself. One who reveals himself is not a true realized person, expresses that those who have attained the way embody humility and refrain from displaying their identity or spiritual state. The quiet concealment of great masters and the simplicity of true cultivators arise from the same fundamental principle. Within the universe, countless beings exist in a clear hierarchy, from lower levels to higher ones. Human beings are often described as the most spiritually endowed of all things, and this status on Earth is a position granted by the divine. On this planet, humans occupy the highest place among visible life forms. Yet within the broader universe, there exist beings of higher realms possessing far greater wisdom and capabilities. Each realm maintains its own mode of thought and form of existence. When a being enters the human realm, it adopts the human mode of existence. This arrangement follows universal law similar to the common saying, "When entering a village, follow its customs." For this reason, Buddha Shakyamuni Laozi and Jesus appeared in human form. While the principles they taught were higher-level truths capable of guiding human cultivation, elevating life, and leading beings toward higher realms. When ancient texts are examined, numerous records describe divine creatures such as dragons, phoenixes, and Kilin appearing in the human world. In Osaka, Japan, Ryuzoji Temple preserves what is regarded as a highly precious dragon specimen. Such records indicate that interactions between different realms have occurred throughout history. Within the broader flow of human civilization, however, the stories most widely passed down describe gods and Buddhas manifesting in humble forms to perform acts of compassion, such as the image of Bodhisattva Guanyin appearing as an elderly woman among ordinary people. This reflects a consistent principle when divine beings descend into the human world. They merge quietly into human life and fulfill heaven's mission without display. Therefore, belief in the existence of gods and Buddhas does not depend on seeing divine forms with one's own eyes. Rather, it rests upon understanding universal principles, cosmic order, and the path of cultivation that they have left behind for humanity. Although gods and Buddhas fully integrate into human life, when they come to the human world, the essence of their being and the mission they carry far surpass those of ordinary people. For this reason, their lives consistently display extraordinary signs and manifestations that clearly distinguish them from secular humanity. Ancient records repeatedly document that when sages, great virtuous ones, gods, and Buddhas descend into the world, heaven sends corresponding auspicious signs. Taking Shakyamuni Buddha as an example, Buddhist scriptures recount that at the moment of his birth, 8 rare, auspicious signs appeared within the royal garden of the palace. Hundreds of species of birds naturally gathered together, their songs resonating with clarity and harmony. Flowers and grasses from all 4 seasons bloomed simultaneously, creating a scene never before witnessed. Most wondrous of all, within a large pond inside the palace grounds, a massive white lotus, wide as a chariot wheel, suddenly emerged at the precise moment Shakyamuni Buddha was born into the human world. As soon as he entered the world, thousands of rays of golden light radiated from his tongue. Each ray transformed into a 1,000-petaled white lotus, and within every lotus sat a small bodhisattva in meditation. These descriptions were preserved in the scriptures as sacred signs accompanying the arrival of a great enlightened being. Shakyamuni Buddha, Laozi, and Jesus Christ each taught the law and spread the way among humanity for several decades. After completing their respective missions, the manner in which they departed the world and returned to the heavenly realm differed for each of them. Shakyamuni Buddha entered nirvana, and when his physical body was cremated, 84,000 relics were left behind. Laozi traveled west beyond Hangu Pass and entered seclusion, after which the world no longer knew where he went. Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross, enduring suffering and torment in the flesh to redeem his disciples and all humanity. Though these paths differed, they converged at a single point. Each left behind foundational sacred scriptures for the world. Shakyamuni Buddha left the Buddhist sutras, Laozi left the Tao Te Ching, and Jesus Christ brought forth the Bible. From these arose Buddhism, Taoism, and Christianity. Over thousands of years, all 3 spiritual traditions have continued to be revered and upheld by humanity. This endurance reveals the immense spiritual energy and wisdom of gods and Buddhas, transcending time and space, while also reflecting humanity's deepest longing to be saved, to return to one's true origin, and to go back to the heavenly realm. In traditional Chinese culture, there is a saying, 3 feet above one's head, there are divine beings. Another expression states that gods are present everywhere. How many gods exist in the heavens? Shakyamuni Buddha once described the Buddhas in the heavenly realms as being as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges River. Compared with such a number, the gods known to humanity represent only a very small portion. Even so, if one were to list the gods known in both Eastern and Western traditions within the current cycle of human civilization, the list would still be extraordinarily long. Each name on that list carries deeply moving stories of cultivation and spiritual attainment, such as the arduous ascetic journey of Milarepa, or the path to realization of Zhenwu Dadi. Each has left behind clear divine manifestations as seen in the legends of the 8 Immortals or Qigong. Each also embodies boundless compassion towards sentient beings in the human world, such as Manjushri Avalokiteshvara, Samantabhadra, and Ksitigarbha. These accounts have been preserved in historical records and passed down through countless generations. During the eras in which humanity's ancestors lived, people maintained a simple, sincere nature and upheld high moral standards. Belief in God's cultivation toward divinity and the worship of divine beings were regarded as matters of the highest importance, from imperial courts down to ordinary households. This formed the orthodox culture of those times. In China, this tradition endured for thousands of years, extending through the Qing dynasty. Through the solemn rituals of Qing emperors and the grand ceremonies held at the Temple of Heaven, one can clearly sense the profound reverence and gratitude these rulers held toward the heavens. Humanity's ancestors believed that gods not only created humankind, but also protected and safeguarded people in every aspect of life. Human blessings were understood as gifts bestowed through reverence for gods and Buddhas. For the ancients, gods were a genuine presence rather than an abstract concept. Faith in the divine arose from the heart, and reverence was expressed through full prostration with one's body lowered to the ground. Because of this sincere reverence and aspiration toward goodness, gods revealed their forms to humanity. As a result, artisans and painters from cultures across the world depicted divine images based on what they had witnessed. Some claim that images of gods were merely imagined by humans and modeled after human appearance. Such reasoning reverses the true order of creation. In truth, gods created human beings in their own image. That is why human form bears resemblance to divine form. This relationship is like that between children and parents. People say children resemble their parents, never that parents resemble their children. The proper order is already clear and self-evident. Thus, the existence of the gods is entirely real. Yet when it is said that God used dust to create human beings, it means that humans were formed from the same kind of material that God refers to as dust. For many people, this idea feels difficult to accept. Human beings have minds, hands, feet, internal organs, and countless complex structures. How could all of this possibly come from a single kind of material? Humans possess brains and limbs, vital organs, and intricate systems. How then can it be said that everything originates from one fundamental substance? However, there is a profound insight that has long been passed down. A shallow understanding of science can lead people away from God, while a deeper and more comprehensive understanding of science leads people back to God. Today, modern science has helped us recognize that the material world humans observe is in essence constructed from particles. Let us consider this step by step. Every human being is composed of countless cells. Each cell is formed from various microscopic substances. These substances are molecules which are themselves assembled from atoms. Each atom consists of electrons, protons, and neutrons. At an even smaller scale are fundamental particles that science currently considers indivisible, such as quarks, neutrinos, and others. This entire chain of structure reveals that human beings are truly made from particles from the same foundational form of matter. God calls these particles dust or earth. The world around us and the entire material universe that humanity perceives are all formed from this same foundation. Now consider another teaching found in religion. Buddha Shakyamuni taught that within the universe, he perceived there exist 3,000 great thousand worlds, and that within a single grain of sand, there also exist 3,000 great thousand worlds. At first, hearing this teaching seems to stretch beyond human imagination. How could a tiny grain of sand correspond to an entire universe? Yet upon deeper reflection, the motion of the earth revolving around the sun bears a striking resemblance to the motion of an electron orbiting an atomic nucleus. Between the earth and the sun lies empty space. And between the electron and the nucleus, there is also empty space. The Earth is held by the sun's gravitational pull, and the electron is bound by the force of the nucleus. The movement of planets and stars mirrors the structural motion found in the microscopic world of particles. Thus, the sand referred to by the Buddha may be understood in modern terms as another way of speaking about particles. Human beings live between two worlds: the world of extremely small particles, such as molecules, atoms, and fundamental particles, and the world of much larger particles, such as celestial bodies, planets, and galaxies. Human life exists on the surface of the particle known as Earth. From this, a natural question arises. Could there be life living on the surface of smaller particles? Could there be life living on the surface of much larger particles? As films exploring the quantum world have become widely known, humanity has begun to contemplate these possibilities. Going further, if humans are composed of particles, it becomes possible to imagine that other beings and other worlds are also formed from similar particles. Particles that are smaller or particles that are larger. The worlds of particles give rise to corresponding dimensions. Microscopic dimensions, parallel dimensions, macroscopic dimensions. All of these overlap and interweave, forming a complex system that exceeds the limits of current human understanding. Interestingly, human imagination has already explored this idea through art. The 1997 film Men in Black features a striking final scene. The camera pulls back from Earth farther and farther away until Earth becomes only a tiny particle moving among countless others, forming a galaxy. Then, that entire galaxy is revealed to be nothing more than a marble within the world of a much larger being. Ideas like this turn out to be far less distant from human imagination than they once seemed. Humans have also imagined that an individual could cross the differences in particle scale and enter another space while maintaining the structure of their own body. This suggests that a life form composed of particles could shrink or expand in order to enter the world of another particle. In Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, the character Ant-Man enters the realm of smaller particles and becomes involved in the life and even warfare of that society. In Avengers Endgame, humans even imagine time travel made possible through differences in space-time across particle realms. This represents the extent of what human imagination can reach. But has humanity truly reached the smallest possible particle? In reality, quantum theory remains a framework built upon experimentation and logical inference. Humans approach the particle world through measurement calculation and modeling, rather than direct observation of its ultimate essence. What about the largest particle? Humanity currently dreams of setting foot on Mars, a relatively nearby particle in space. The vast universe beyond remains beyond direct reach. The universe humans perceive exists only within the limits of the observable universe, extending tens of billions of light years. Even what we observe reflects the state of the universe far in the past. Events occurring today at the edge of the visible universe will only be observed tens of billions of years from now. From this arises a natural contemplation. If the entire universe we observe is itself only a single particle among countless other immense particles existing alongside other universes, then the picture of creation and life that humanity is beginning to glimpse may represent only a very small part of an incomparably vast whole. Why did the gods create humanity? If the lines of reasoning presented above can be accepted by the reader, if the existence of the gods is acknowledged as real, and if humanity is understood to have been created from microscopic particles as a reasonable premise, then a far greater question immediately arises. Why did humanity come into existence at all? At this point, religion moved ahead of science long ago in addressing the origin of humankind. Yet the very question, why were humans created, has remained one of the most profound and challenging problems within religion itself. Even Christianity, one of the most widespread religions in the world today, and one of the few that describes the origin of humanity in considerable detail through the book of Genesis in the Bible, leaves this question layered with meanings that invite deep reflection. According to Genesis, after God created Adam, He placed him in the Garden of Eden and permitted him to eat freely from every tree in the garden, except for the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Scripture also records that among all the creatures God created, the serpent was the most cunning. And it was this serpent that persuaded Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. Eve then offered the fruit to Adam, and he ate as well. From the Christian perspective, this event became the root of sin and suffering in the human world. From here, several profound questions naturally emerge. The first question concerns the original divine arrangement itself. God bestowed great care and grace upon Adam and Eve. So why did the tree of the knowledge of good and evil exist within the Garden of Eden at all? And why did the cunning serpent appear in that space? If this was meant to be a test of whether humans would obey God, then why, when Eve stood before temptation, was there no guidance or intervention to offer her a chance to awaken and turn back? And why did the outcome lead to Adam and Eve leaving Eden, initiating a long journey of suffering and redemption for their descendants? In contemporary Christian belief, humanity is consistently granted opportunities for repentance and renewal. Why then, at the very beginning, were Adam and Eve not given such an opportunity to correct their mistake? The second question is closely connected to the story of the Great Flood and Noah's Ark. The book of Genesis states that Noah was the 9th generation descendant of Adam. This means that within only 9 generations, the world had deteriorated to such an extent that a global purification became necessary. At the same time, Christian faith teaches that heaven is a realm created with eternal goodness and that the life within it is likewise everlasting. This indicates that God possesses the power to create worlds and beings of enduring goodness. Why then was the human world arranged in such a way that it could fall into corruption so quickly? If approached from the perspective that God is all-powerful and all-knowing, such an arrangement must carry a deeper purpose. Yet what is that purpose? Creating a world filled with suffering solely to demonstrate love and salvation still leaves many unanswered questions in human understanding. Similarly, when examining other religions, the origin of humanity is often addressed in broad terms. Buddhism teaches that human life passes through countless cycles of reincarnation and that the goal of cultivation is liberation from suffering and escape from the cycle of birth and death, leading to a higher and more beautiful realm. Yet the question of the original starting point of life remains. Taoism speaks even more comprehensively, teaching that the Tao gives rise to all things and that humans must return to the origin and the true nature, restoring their innate essence and harmonizing with the Tao. Still, the fundamental reason why the gods created humanity is not fully explained. Taken together, the question, why does humanity exist, has become a persistent enigma throughout the history of religion. It is not merely a question of origins, but a question of the meaning of existence itself, the purpose of life, and the path humanity follows within the vast flow of the universe. Divinely transmitted culture. In the previous section, we touched upon a key point. The creation of humankind by the gods was not random, but carried clear causes and purposes. Humanity's departure from heaven, as well as the possibility that human society may decline and become corrupted over time, all lie within a deliberately arranged plan. Yet this arrangement does not move in only one downward direction. In the opposite direction, the gods simultaneously arranged factors that allow human beings and human society opportunities to rise, to elevate themselves, and to return to higher and nobler values. For this reason, in the legends of most peoples around the world, there exist stories of gods and the messengers of gods, often called prophets in the West, descending into the human world to teach people how to live, to pass down culture, and to establish moral standards and norms of social conduct. From very early on in humanity's collective memory across different lands and civilizations, peoples have preserved accounts of gods, or beings, bearing missions from heaven descending to open civilization and shape human morality. In Chinese mythology, Nüwa repairing the sky with stones is not merely an image of correcting a natural catastrophe. It symbolizes the restoration of cosmic order after a great upheaval, safeguarding humanity so that people could continue to survive and develop. In ancient Western tradition, Prometheus brought fire to humankind, granting light skills and the ability to leave behind a primitive way of life, thus opening an era of knowledge and human civilization. In the East, Fuxi interpreted the 8 trigrams using yin and yang and transformation to help people understand the laws governing heaven and earth, thereby learning how to live in harmony with nature and society. Shennong tasted hundreds of herbs, distinguishing the medicinal properties of plants, laying the foundation for traditional medicine and the principle of life, as the root teaching people to value the body and life itself. In ancient Greece, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle did not merely establish philosophy as a discipline of rational thought. They opened a path for seeking truth, encouraging people to reflect on morality, the soul, and the meaning of existence. Ancient philosophy thus became the spiritual foundation of later Western civilization. In the Jewish-Christian tradition, Moses passed down the Ten Commandments, establishing universal moral standards, governing humanity's relationship with heaven and with one another. These commandments are not only religious in nature, they also became the legal and moral foundation of Western society for thousands of years. In China, Lao Tzu inherited ancient wisdom and left behind the Tao Te Ching, pointing out the fundamental laws governing the universe and advising people to follow the Tao, remain humble, and restrain desire. Confucius carried forward the rites and music of the Zhou dynasty, spreading Confucian culture, emphasizing benevolence, propriety, righteousness, wisdom, and trustworthiness, and guiding society toward order and stability through individual moral cultivation. In the realm of spiritual cultivation, Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment and transmitted the Dharma, pointing out the path to liberation from suffering, emphasizing compassion and wisdom and helping people understand karma and the deeper meaning of existence. In the West, Jesus Christ sacrificed himself to redeem the Jewish people and all humanity, using love, forgiveness, and faith to awaken the human conscience and open a universal path of salvation. When all these accounts are placed side by side, a clear pattern emerges at critical stages of history. Gods or beings bearing missions from heaven directly intervened in the formation of civilization. They transmitted knowledge, morality, social norms, and spiritual paths to humanity, thereby shaping the spiritual and ethical foundations of humankind over many millennia. Whether one holds religious beliefs or not, a careful examination of humanity's traditional cultures reveals that most universal values, moral standards, and basic principles of conduct originate from divine norms, taking the Ten Commandments. As an example, these principles govern fundamental aspects of social life. Reverence for God, honoring one's parents, respect for life, fidelity, respect for others' property, and restraint of greed and envy. These standards are not solely religious teachings. They also form the foundation upon which stable societies operate. Therefore, when discussing ancient culture and traditional culture, a clear distinction is necessary. Tradition has a long history, yet not everything that has existed for a long time qualifies as orthodox tradition. The norms established by the gods during the early stages of each civilization were regarded by humanity as fundamental standards preserved and passed down across generations. This is what is meant by divinely transmitted culture, and it constitutes the true core of humanity's orthodox traditional culture. Many forms of divinely transmitted culture have been established successively across different cycles of civilization. Each civilization undergoes a process of formation, stabilization, decline, and dissolution until a new civilization emerges. Some civilizations came to an end through major natural disasters or upheavals that caused large-scale loss of human life and other living beings. Other civilizations declined due to large-scale wars or severe epidemics, resulting in massive loss of life, after which the survivors gradually let go of prehistoric culture and integrated into a new civilizational order. The recurring appearance of divinely transmitted culture in each cycle of civilization across different regions of the earth reveals an extraordinarily meticulous arrangement by the gods for humanity. This naturally leads us to deeper questions. Why did the gods create human beings in their own image? Why did the gods patiently guide humanity through countless cycles of civilization? And more profoundly still, why did the gods create a world governed by principles different from those of the beautiful realm of heaven? In this world, good and evil coexist. Life survives through killing. The strong rise as heroes. War becomes a means of competing for power and territory. At the same time, within this very world, human beings are still granted opportunities to elevate themselves, to awaken, and to return to higher realms. When one recognizes the comprehensive capacities of the gods, it becomes apparent that all these elements exist within an order that is permitted and arranged, forming a world that is at once harsh and yet open to a path of return for life itself. Even so, there are possibilities that modern humanity finds difficult to fully comprehend. One such possibility is the hypothesis that human beings may have existed during the age of the dinosaurs. In the commonly accepted view today, dinosaurs are believed to have appeared hundreds of millions of years ago, while humans emerged much later, only after dinosaurs had completely disappeared. Yet when this question is placed within a broader framework of cosmic cycles and successive civilizations, it opens up many deeper layers of reflection. Earth has passed through extremely long periods in which its environment, climate, and biological structure were entirely different from what we know today. The layers of rock stacked upon one another do more than record the history of nature. They resemble torn pages from a much longer story. During those vast stretches of time, did only dinosaurs exist, or were there other forms of life whose traces are no longer easily recognized? Ancient traditions across many civilizations speak of earlier ages, times when the world was larger, life forms were greater in scale, and humans were not quite the same as humans today. Stories describe giants, demigods, and beings whose strength far exceeded modern human capacity. When these descriptions are placed alongside images of gigantic prehistoric creatures, the correspondence becomes difficult to dismiss. If Earth's history is viewed as a sequence of arranged cycles, then the dinosaur era may represent only one phase within a much longer process. As conditions change, one cycle concludes and gives way to another. From this perspective, mass extinction is not simply an ending, but a clearing of the path for a new form of life better suited to the next order. The mystery of humans walking among dinosaurs. According to the mainstream evolutionary perspective, human history began only around 10,000 years ago. Before that, humans are thought to have existed in a very primitive state, gradually evolving from primates with limited awareness and technology. However, modern archaeology has uncovered discoveries that complicate this picture significantly. In many parts of the world, traces of civilizations believed to have existed millions of years ago have been found, civilizations displaying levels of social organization, technology, and intellectual development that far exceed common expectations of prehistoric humans. This naturally raises a profound question. Could large portions of human history remain misunderstood or overlooked? Among the most controversial discoveries is the collection of carved stones known as the Ica stones, found in Peru. These stones depict scenes that astonish many observers. Humans appearing alongside dinosaurs, complex surgical procedures, and instruments resembling telescopes used to observe the sky. If these images reflect actual experiences or knowledge of ancient people, then human history may need to be reconsidered from a much broader perspective. The Ica stone collection includes more than 15,000 stones of varying sizes. Some are as small as pebbles, while others are as large and heavy as massive boulders. They are made of gray andesite, a hard stone that is difficult to work. What stands out is that the carvings were not made by deeply chiseling into the stone, but by working through the oxidized surface layer, indicating a high level of technical skill. The artistic style aligns with pre-Columbian indigenous cultures of the Americas, such as Paracas, Nazca, Tiwanaku, and Inca. The subjects carved into the stones are extremely diverse. Some depict familiar scenes, plants, fish, and common animals, while others portray images far beyond modern expectations, including dinosaurs, legendary creatures, and highly technical activities. This wide range of themes is what makes the Ica stones one of the most debated collections in archaeology. One particularly striking group of carvings depicts dinosaurs. According to Darwinian theory, dinosaurs became extinct approximately 65 million years ago, long before humans appeared. As a result, modern knowledge of dinosaurs comes solely from fossils and reconstructed models. Yet, many Ica stones show dinosaurs in varied forms, sometimes appearing alongside humans within the same scene, suggesting coexistence. These images raise the question of whether ancient humans may have witnessed or interacted with dinosaurs. an idea that challenges conventional evolutionary timelines. In fact, the Ica stones are not the only case. Around the world, from the Americas to Europe and Asia, there are other indirect clues suggesting that humans and large prehistoric creatures may have coexisted in extremely distant eras. Additionally, controversial findings such as soft tissue blood residues and genetic material reportedly discovered in some dinosaur bones that are not fully fossilized further complicate the narrative. Another set of Ica stone carvings leads to a different question. Did ancient humans possess advanced surgical knowledge? Modern surgery is generally considered to have developed significantly, starting in the 18th century. Yet, on many Ica stone scenes appear showing surgical operations involving multiple individuals and tools resembling infusion tubes or medical instruments. These images suggest that ancient people may have possessed a functional understanding of human anatomy and medical intervention. Beyond this, some Ica stones depict figures wearing hats and shoes while holding objects resembling telescopes gazing towards star-filled skies. In modern history, the telescope is associated with the rise of observational astronomy in the early 17th century. If these images reflect genuine ancient knowledge, they could help explain why civilizations, such as Babylon and the Maya, possessed such precise and advanced astronomical understanding. A central question surrounding the Ica stones concerns their age. Many are believed to be extremely ancient, possibly dating back millions of years. Determining their age, however, is challenging. The stones were collected from many sources over decades. Some found in ancient tombs, others revealed along riverbanks after floods, and many passing through multiple hands before becoming part of Dr. Javier Cabrera's collection. For this reason, the discovery location alone cannot reliably determine their age. Radiocarbon dating applies only to organic material and cannot be directly used on stone. Another approach involves analyzing the content of the carvings themselves. Many stones depict animals known to have gone extinct millions of years ago. By dating the fossils of those animals, researchers can estimate when such creatures existed, and from that, infer the time period when the carvers may have observed or remembered them. If these interpretations hold weight, their implications are profound. They suggest that humans may have appeared on Earth far earlier than commonly accepted timelines indicate, living in eras with environments and life forms vastly different from today. They may have been capable of observation, documentation, and complex thinking rather than existing as purely primitive beings. Discoveries like the Ica stones, despite ongoing debate, continually remind us that human history may be far broader and more layered than we imagine. Each new finding opens a doorway into a distant past that remains only partially understood. And when faced with the immensity of the universe and the vast flow of time, humanity is naturally led to recognize the limits of its own understanding. From the images carved on the Ica stones, the question of whether humans once existed alongside dinosaurs no longer stands alone. If these images were merely imagination or symbolic art, then why have material traces continued to surface in many other parts of the world, deep within ancient geological layers, where, according to modern understanding, humans were never supposed to have appeared? Human traces in fossils questions beyond modern imagination. In South Africa, on the slope of Klerksdorp Hill, miners once discovered hundreds of metallic spheres embedded deep within ancient rock layers. What draws particular attention is that the geological strata surrounding these spheres have been dated to approximately 2.8 billion years old. On the surfaces of the spheres appear grooves encircling their bodies, uniform and precise to a degree that makes random natural formation difficult to assume. When observing images of these objects, one cannot help but ask, are they products of natural processes, or do they bear the marks of deliberate intervention? In the late 19th century, in the town of Morrisonville, Illinois, USA, when households still relied on coal for cooking, a strange incident occurred. In the year 1891, an elderly woman named Mrs. Culp was shoveling coal into her stove when a large lump of coal split cleanly in two. From inside fell a gold necklace. The chain measured approximately 25 centimeters in length, contained 8-karat gold, weighed about 12 grams, and was finely crafted. The Morrisonville Times reported at the time that the necklace could not have fallen into the coal after mining, because fragments of coal were still tightly embedded within the links of the chain and clear impressions of the necklace remained visible inside the coal itself. Coal is fossilized plant matter formed from ancient forests that existed roughly 250 to over 300 million years ago. If so, the gold necklace would necessarily date back at least hundreds of millions of years. Although neither the artifact nor photographs have survived to the present day, the event was documented in contemporary newspaper records, remaining an unresolved question rather than a closed case. Another discovery with clearer physical evidence occurred in 1912 at a power plant in Thomas, Oklahoma. While two workers were shoveling coal into a furnace, they encountered a piece of coal too large to use and attempted to break it apart with a hammer. After a single blow, the coal split open, accompanied by a distinct metallic sound. Inside was an iron pot. Even more astonishing, the two halves of the coal clearly bore the imprint of the pot's shape. Experts later concluded that the coal encasing the pot dated back approximately 325 million years. This iron pot, along with a notarized affidavit from one of the workers, Frank J. Kennard, is currently displayed at the Creation Evidence Museum in Texas. Beyond this, at the Paluxy River in Texas, where numerous dinosaur footprints from the Cretaceous period were discovered, researchers also found human footprints alongside them, including cases where human footprints appear directly atop dinosaur tracks. In the same area, a hammer with a wooden handle turned to coal was discovered. The metal head consisted of an unusual iron alloy that modern technology finds difficult to reproduce. Nearby, researchers also uncovered a fossil believed to be a human finger. When cross-sectioned and examined through X-ray and CT scanning, its internal structure revealed characteristics consistent with human bone, including joints, tendons, and the distinctive porous structure. Scientists even remarked that if the individual who possessed this finger lived today, they would have no difficulty performing complex violin compositions. This fossil is also preserved at the Creation Evidence Museum. Faced with these findings, researchers proposed two possibilities. One is the existence of a dinosaur species with claw structures resembling the human hand. The other is that humans and dinosaurs once lived during the same period. When the presence of the metal hammer is considered, the second possibility becomes difficult to dismiss. If dinosaurs became extinct 65 million years ago, and evolutionary theory suggests that even primates did not yet exist at that time, then where did humans come from? These questions lead us back once more to the renowned Ica stones of Peru. The dark stones, marked with dense surface patterns and ranging in size from palm-sized to over 1 meter tall, are intricately carved. They depict scenes of an ancient civilization, possessing advanced medical knowledge, including surgery, acupuncture-based anesthesia, and organ transplantation, as well as profound astronomical understanding complete with telescopic observation and stellar mapping. Most strikingly, many carvings portray humans interacting with dinosaurs, even riding them as domesticated animals. These images directly challenge conventional views of human history. Dr. Javier Cabrera, who devoted decades to studying the Ica stones, acknowledged that forgery became unavoidable once the collection gained fame. Yet he emphasized that this does not invalidate the original artifacts. He pointed out that Ica stones were recorded by Spanish chroniclers as early as the 16th century. In 1571, historian Juan de Santa Cruz Pachacuti described these stones and referred to the carved creatures as dragons at a time when local populations had no concept of dinosaurs. If doubt still remains, another discovery presents an even greater shock. In 2017, while searching for dinosaur evidence in Antarctica, a team of paleontologists uncovered two fossils suspected to be human bones within sedimentary rock on Mount Whitmore. One fossil bore a striking resemblance to a human skeleton, though smaller in size. According to Dr. Marley of Cambridge University, the fossils were dated to at least 600 million years old, and their structure indicated they were human bones rather than primate remains. Some question why human fossils vary so greatly in size, some extremely small, while other carvings depict gigantic humans. Yet ancient records frequently mention giants and diminutive peoples. The classic of mountains and seas describes the giant Khufu, while Taiping Guangji records the Hedun Kingdom, whose people stood only a few dozen centimeters tall. The fact that such beings are no longer seen today does not imply they never existed. If Earth's history unfolds in cycles, then the emergence of humans with varying sizes and characteristics becomes less difficult to comprehend. Earth's rotation creates day and night. Its orbit around the sun creates the year and the 4 seasons. In one year, a farmer plants in spring, harvests in autumn, and rests in winter. Good seeds are saved for the next season, while new varieties may also be tested. Our solar system moves within the Milky Way, and the Milky Way itself moves within the vast universe. Perhaps on a larger scale, the universe also has its own seasons. Perhaps there exists a cosmic order resembling a universal farmer. Sowing life. When the season is right, allowing worlds to flourish, then letting all things settle before the next cycle begins. Perhaps life is created through such a simple and natural law. It is only because humans stand within the flow itself, viewing everything through complex concepts, that the greater picture quietly unfolding behind the scenes remains difficult to perceive. From the traces suggesting that humanity once existed through many very ancient cycles, with forms and abilities different from those of today, another doorway of history slowly opens. It is a time when human beings not only lived alongside gigantic creatures, but also coexisted with extremely small human-like groups, the little people mentioned in ancient records and legends across the world. The mystery of the little people who once lived on Earth. Our world has always contained strange and fascinating phenomena that even the most learned scientists struggle to fully explain. There are many events and occurrences that we can recognize, yet remain unable to study to any clear conclusion. Perhaps these belong to what might be called a part of the mysteries of God. When people hear ancient stories and legends about fairies, spirits, or little people, many instinctively picture green fields in Ireland or the Highlands of Scotland. But how many truly consider that these small beings might also have been believed to dwell in the Americas? If you watch the documentary Fairy Faith, it features the Eskasoni tribe, and there are many legends about little people. The Eskasoni say that little people lived on the hills of Nova Scotia for centuries. Many villagers warned their children to stay away from certain mountains, fearing that the little people might take them away. These Eskasoni stories continue to appear and are referenced throughout Fairy Faith, and they have become widely known accounts. The Shoshone tribe in what is now the United States has its own name for the little people of legend, the Nemerigar. The Nemerigar are described as a small-statured people who lived in the Rocky Mountains, especially in the San Pedro Mountains or near the Wind River. The Shoshone believe these little people guarded their homes carefully and used bows and arrows as weapons, with the arrows coated in poison. A small mummy found in the San Pedro Mountains is often considered a possible case connected to the Nemerigar, closely resembling the little people the Shoshone have spoken of for generations. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, the beautiful islands of Hawaii hold similar beliefs. Native Hawaiians speak of little people called the Menehune. Once again, striking similarities appear when comparing the Nemerigar of the Shoshone, the small beings of the Eskasoni, and the Menehune of Hawaii. According to legend, the Menehune lived in the deep forests and mountains of the Hawaiian Islands and were said to be the original inhabitants of the land before the arrival of the Polynesians. They are also credited with building structures such as the Menehune Fish Pond at Niumalu and the Kikiaola irrigation ditch near Waimea. The Choctaw people also believe in the existence of little people, whom they call the Quanokasha. In general, they regard these beings with caution and fear. According to legend, the Quanokasha would take young boys into caves to reveal their future. 3 wise men would stand at the entrance of the cave to receive them. The Quanokasha would present the Choctaw boy with 3 items: a knife, a pouch of poisonous herbs, and a pouch of healing herbs. If the boy chose the knife, his fate might lead him toward violence. If he chose the poisonous herbs, he might bring harmful medicine to others. But if he chose the healing herbs, he could become a skilled healer for his people. Like the traditions in Hawaii and among the Shoshone, the Choctaw, also believed these little people lived in caves. The Quanokasha were said to stand only about 1 to 2 feet tall. Among the Cherokee, there are traditions describing 3 types of little people: the Laurel people, the Rock people, and the Dogwood people. The Rock people were described as hostile, kidnapping children and causing trouble when they felt their territory was disturbed. The Laurel people were friendly but mischievous, known for playing tricks on adults. The Cherokee say the Laurel people might tie your fishing line to a stick to make you think you had caught a large fish, only to leave you surprised and amused. They were said to enjoy laughter and wished to keep hearts light and youthful, much like their own. The Dogwood people, on the other hand, were described as kind and often caring toward giant people, meaning humans, whenever possible. The Crow people believe in small beings called the Nirumbi. According to tradition, the Nirumbi lived in the Pryor Mountains and helped Plentikuza Crow chief in the early 20th century receive a powerful vision that guided the Crow people towards safety and unity. Some Crow members say that even today, when passing through Pryor Gap, they leave offerings for the little people in remembrance of the help they once gave their tribe. There are countless stories of little people told by dozens of Native American tribes. Many of these stories are deeply engaging, including accounts of the little people coming to the aid of local communities in times of great need. So why should we dismiss the beliefs and traditions of so many cultures regarding the existence of little people? Perhaps the fairies of Ireland and other parts of Europe are simply the same type of beings believed in by Native Americans. Perhaps they are not winged spirits at all, but small human-like beings with deep knowledge of healing and natural forces. What stands out is that in most indigenous traditions, little people are not described as glowing winged creatures with magical powers, but as real beings with homes, daily customs, and the ability to defend themselves. They lived in caves, deep forests, and remote regions that are difficult to access and rarely visited today. Some communities say they were highly cautious, avoided outsiders, and appeared only briefly before disappearing again. When the stories of the Eskasoni Shoshone and other indigenous peoples are placed alongside the discovery of Homo floresiensis in Indonesia, a shared pattern begins to emerge. The memory of small human-like beings seems not to belong to a single culture or geographic area. Instead, these memories resemble fragments from a time when Earth supported many different forms of humanity, varying widely in size, lifespan, and ways of adapting to the environment. Perhaps in Earth's distant cycles, humanity did not exist in only one form. Alongside groups with bodies similar to ours today, there may have been smaller groups who adapted to harsh environments by living quietly, remaining hidden, and relying closely on nature. As climates shifted, environments changed, and ecological balance rearranged itself. Some of these human groups slowly withdrew from history, leaving only faint traces in legend and rare discoveries. Seen from this perspective, stories of little people are no longer merely products of collective imagination. They sound more like whispers carried forward from a very old chapter of human history. Did you know that most Native American tribes, both in the United States and Canada, believe that little beings truly exist? They call them little people, and each tribe holds its own understanding of who these small humans are. I was once surprised to learn that Native Americans also believed in little beings, but now it makes sense. Nearly every culture creates its own version of fairies or small folk. So there is little reason to think that Native Americans who live in close harmony with nature would hold beliefs very different from those of the ancient Celts or other European peoples. There have even been reported encounters with little beings in relatively recent times in North America. Although many assume that the little people believed in by Native Americans have disappeared, numerous individuals, both indigenous people and later settlers, have described encounters with beings they called little people fairies or nature spirits, even in suburban areas around Tampa Bay, Florida. I personally had 3 experiences involving little people. These were not dramatic encounters with angels or anything extraordinary. One of the most memorable stories was told by a woman in the documentary Fairy Faith Part 6. While a mother and her child were hiking in the forest, the mother began to hear a strange, loud sound. It did not resemble any music she had heard before, and it felt especially unusual because no one lived nearby. The sound grew louder and closer. When she asked her child whether she could hear it too, the child nodded. The mother decided not to stay and listen any longer and quickly left the area with her child. The young girl, now an adult, later admitted that she had seen something even stranger than the music that day. As their car drove away, the girl looked back, even though her mother had told her not to, and she saw a group of little people dancing together, joyful and full of life. She told no one for many years, fearing disbelief and ridicule for what sounded like a fairy tale. Another woman shared a childhood memory in which she and her sister woke one morning to see a group of little beings dancing on a toy shelf on the wall. They were small, had wings, and appeared friendly and happy. Even today, that woman believes that little beings truly exist. Are these beings winged angels, connected to Native American legends of little people? Or are they something entirely different? Are the little people believed in by indigenous cultures a human group or something more spiritual in nature? We may never find clear answers to these questions, and perhaps that's a good thing. Why spoil something beautiful? If a little person from Native American legend or a fairy-like being were discovered alive today, modern society would likely subject them to experiments and exploitation until all wonder disappeared. And so the idea of little people or fairies continues to live on in the imagination of many Americans, in mine, and perhaps in yours as well. Beyond what we already know, it seems that our world may once have been home to many unusual races, beings, and human communities, with forms, biology, and ways of living far beyond what modern people are accustomed to. Scattered records, ancient legends, and a handful of rare discoveries hint at the existence of these strange peoples, as if the Earth in the distant past was a place where many different forms of life coexisted. The blue-skinned people. Through the study and interpretation of ancient texts left behind by several lost civilizations, some scholars have outlined the image of a people often referred to as the blue-skinned Lemurians, associated with an ancient civilization that many believe may have existed even earlier than Atlantis. According to descriptions passed down through time, the Lemurians stood at an average height of about 3 meters. Their skin was said to change color, shifting from green to blue, depending on the season. Their faces were marked by large eyes, with upper and lower eyelids that closed and opened in an unusual way, resembling sliding doors. One of their most striking features was that they did not breathe through lungs, as humans do today, but instead exchanged air through their skin. In daily life, the Lemurians were described as placing little emphasis on material possessions. They devoted much of their attention to healing art music and spiritual pursuits. They lived in harmony with nature, viewing themselves as part of the earth rather than rulers over it. Some records even suggest that they used Sanskrit as a common language. After reaching a peak of development, the Lemurian civilization disappeared in a way that remains difficult to explain, leaving behind very few clear traces. Many theories attempt to explain the decline of Lemuria. One suggests that Lemuria and Atlantis existed during the same era and maintained contact with one another. According to this view, scientific experiments conducted in Atlantis went beyond natural limits and triggered a catastrophe that affected both civilizations. In 1864, in a research work titled The Mammals of Madagascar, British geologist Philip Sclater proposed that present-day Madagascar in India might be remnants of a vast ancient continent he called Lemuria. Later, additional geological hypotheses and findings appeared, further supporting the idea that an ancient landmass may have sunk beneath the ocean long ago. Interestingly, in more recent times, a family in the U.S. state of Kentucky was recorded as having an unusual blue skin tone. Later accounts suggested that their descendants settled in high mountain regions of Chile, where snow covers the land year-round at elevations of around 600-500 meters above sea level. Their skin and blood appeared blue or bluish-purple, raising many questions within the medical community. After extensive medical research, doctors found that these blue-skinned individuals showed no signs of serious illness. On the contrary, they were generally healthy, and their life expectancy often exceeded 85 years. Some medical theories link this condition to a rare blood disorder. Yet the deeper origin of this unusual trait remains unclear. As a result, many have wondered whether there could be some connection between these modern cases and ancient accounts of the blue-skinned Lemurians, the blind tribe, and the mute tribe. Alongside the blue-skinned people, there are other communities with highly unusual biological traits. The so-called blind tribe is the name given by outsiders to a group living in the primeval forests of the Sierra Madre Mountains in Mexico. The entire tribe, numbering over 300 people, is blind. What makes this especially striking is that they are not born blind, nor do they lose their sight due to accidents. At birth, their vision appears normal. However, at around 3 months of age, their eyesight gradually fades until complete blindness occurs. To this day, the cause of this phenomenon remains unexplained. There is also a mute tribe believed to be a branch of an indigenous Indian group living deep in the forests of western Bolivia in South America. This community maintains a very primitive way of life. Many theories suggest they rarely leave the forest because most of the tribe's members are unable to speak. They communicate through simple hand movements and familiar gestures used in everyday life. The tribe that cries at good news. Another group known for an especially unusual custom is believed to live on a small island off the west coast of England. For them, happiness is not expressed through laughter but through tears. When joyful events occur, especially weddings, the entire community cries openly. In this context, tears are seen as a sign of deep happiness and strong emotional bonds between people. The tribe that never bathes. The Turkana people are a large community of around 250,000 individuals living in northern Kenya near the borders of South Sudan and eastern Ethiopia. This region is extremely dry and suffers from severe water scarcity. The Turkana traditionally dry animal dung and use it as fuel for cooking. What surprises many outsiders is that they use water only for drinking and do not bathe. Instead, they apply animal fat to their skin to clean and protect their bodies from the harsh sun and wind. They also do not brush their teeth in the usual way, choosing instead to clean them daily with tree branches. Despite the harsh living conditions, the Turkana maintain good health and adapt well to their environment. These unusual human communities, whether known through legend, research, or direct observation, all expand our understanding of human history. It is possible that over the immense span of time, Earth was once home to many different forms of humanity, with a wider range of adaptations and ways of living than we commonly imagine today. Evidence that giants once lived on Earth. From the existence of unusually small human groups, ancient history then leads us to a completely opposite extreme: giants. If diminutive humans represent reduction in size and subtle adaptation to the environment, giants appear in humanity's collective memory as beings of extraordinary stature, immense strength, and distinctive roles during very distant periods of Earth's past. What stands out is that giants do not exist only in myths or folktales. They appear repeatedly in ancient writings, religious scriptures, and even in archaeological discoveries that continue to provoke debate. In the Bible, the book of Genesis mentions the Nephilim, described as mighty and great in stature, who were said to live on earth before the Great Flood. The book of Numbers also records the testimony of the spies who said they felt like grasshoppers when standing before the giants in the land of Canaan. These descriptions are not presented as vague symbolism, but as historical memories passed down through generations. Beyond the Bible, many other ancient civilizations recorded the existence of giants. In Greek mythology, the Titans and the Gigantes are portrayed as beings of immense size and power, far surpassing ordinary humans. In Northern Europe, legends of the Jotun giants run throughout Norse mythology. In China, the classic of Mountains and Seas tells the story of Kua Fu, a giant who chased the sun, possessing an enormous body and extraordinary strength. In the Americas, many indigenous tribes preserve stories of large-boned people who were said to have lived on the continent before modern humans appeared. Alongside these traditions, physical traces have also been repeatedly reported, making the idea of giants difficult to dismiss outright. Throughout the 19th century and the early 20th century, numerous local newspapers in the United States published reports of unusually large human skeletons particularly those discovered in ancient burial mounds associated with Native American cultures. Some of these skeletons were described as standing between 8 and 10 feet tall, and in some cases, even taller. In Nevada, Lovelock Cave became known for the discovery of remains believed to belong to exceptionally tall individuals, featuring large skulls and femur bones far longer than the human average. The local Paiute people referred to these beings as the Saiteka, a race of red-haired giants said to have once inhabited the region. Stories of the Saiteka existed long before Western archaeologists arrived in the area. In Africa, and especially in parts of the Middle East and North Africa, massive stone carvings and monumental structures have also raised questions about whether humans with extraordinary physical strength once existed. Moving, lifting, and precisely placing stone blocks weighing tens or even hundreds of tons remains a challenge to explain using only the physical capabilities of modern humans. Even giant footprints discovered in certain regions, such as South Africa and parts of the Middle East, have been cited as controversial evidence. Some of these footprints measure over 2 feet in length and are deeply embedded in stone, suggesting a body mass far greater than that of humans today at the time they were formed. By the year 1988, Gregor Spurry traveled to Egypt as an independent researcher with a strong interest in the pyramids and the mysteries surrounding ancient Egyptian civilization. During this journey, according to an article written by Annemieke Witteveen and published on Ancient Origins, he was introduced to a local farmer named Najib. Najib's family had an unusual background for many generations. His ancestors had been tomb diggers in ancient Egypt, and they were said to have possessed numerous secrets and artifacts passed down from a very distant past. According to Najib, many ancient objects had been kept within his family over the years. Some of these artifacts were sold by previous generations in exchange for land homes and other necessities for survival. However, among all those objects, there was one item that Najib guarded with exceptional care and regarded as a true family treasure. It was a human finger of extraordinarily large size. Gregor Spurry personally examined this object and later reported that the finger measured more than 30 centimeters in length, many times larger than a normal human finger. He took several photographs of it for documentation and research purposes. Unfortunately, when Spurry returned to Egypt in 2009, hoping to investigate further, he was unable to locate Najib again, and the strange artifact had seemingly vanished without a trace. Based on anatomical proportions, some researchers have suggested that if a finger of this size truly belonged to a human body, its owner would likely have stood at a height of around 5 meters, or roughly 16 feet tall. Such a figure far exceeds the limits of modern human physiology and raises profound questions about the kinds of beings that may have existed in Earth's distant past. And this was not an isolated case. During the 19th century in the United States, a judge named E.P. West, who had a deep passion for science and archaeology, made a series of discoveries in the forests of western Missouri. There he identified several unusual earth structures. These were tall, cone-shaped mounds positioned on rocky outcrops along the Missouri River. Their structure and placement strongly suggested that they were not ordinary natural formations. The 3 largest cone-shaped mounds were recorded in the states of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Around the same period, other researchers also reported finding similar mounds in Ohio and Kentucky. Further investigation revealed that these mysterious earthworks were actually ancient burial mounds constructed in prehistoric times. When one of these burial mounds was opened, 2 human skeletons were found inside. What astonished researchers was the unusually large size of the bones. The intact lower jaw of one skeleton was twice the size of a modern human jaw. The teeth were massive and worn down close to the roots, indicating long-term use. The frontal bone of the skull was low, forming a pronounced ridge that differed markedly from modern human skull structure. Skeletons with similar features were later uncovered in other burial mounds throughout the region. Notably, all of these skeletons were buried in a seated position. Surrounding them were stone tools, typical of ancient cultures, including stone knives and scrapers, suggesting that these individuals held a particular status or role within their communities. In one ancient burial site in Ohio, researchers also discovered a copper hammer weighing nearly 30 kilograms, or about 66 pounds. A similar hammer was later found in Wisconsin. Given their size and weight, such tools would have required individuals of exceptional height, again estimated at around 5 meters tall, and extraordinary physical strength to wield effectively. Beyond these examples, reports of giant human bones have surfaced sporadically across the globe, from the Americas to Europe and Asia. While each discovery remains the subject of debate, when viewed together, they form a broader pattern, one that suggests that in extremely ancient times, Earth may have been home to human beings of a size and strength far beyond anything familiar to us today. Naturally, discoveries related to giants have always been highly controversial. Some artifacts were lost, others reclassified, and many early reports no longer contain enough data to be verified by modern scientific standards. Even so, the fact that similar accounts appear independently across many cultures, combined with scattered archaeological traces found around the world, makes the idea of giants difficult to dismiss as pure imagination. When giants are considered alongside diminutive humans, such as Homo floresiensis and other unusual human groups that have been recorded, a broader picture begins to emerge. It is possible that during very ancient cycles of Earth's history, humanity did not exist in a single standardized form. Instead, the planet may once have been home to many different types of humans, varying greatly in size, strength, and methods of adaptation. Over time, as environments shifted, climates changed, and ecological systems were reorganized. Some human groups gradually faded from the physical record, leaving behind only faint traces in stone, in legend, and in humanity's collective memory. Stories of giants, therefore, may not be mere myths, but echoes preserved from a very distant chapter of human history. From a time when Earth may have been far more diverse and expansive than we are accustomed to imagining today. When we look back at all of these scattered traces, from lost civilizations and unusual human groups to structures and artifacts that fall outside familiar understanding, we gradually realize that this world still holds many things modern humanity has yet to truly comprehend. Contemporary science has shown that Earth has passed through multiple cycles of civilization, with periods of flourishing followed by decline, leaving behind countless remnants buried deep underground beneath the oceans and within the oral memories of ancient cultures. Perhaps what we know today represents only a very small portion of a much larger picture. By shifting our perspective, broadening our approach, and learning to listen to both modern science and ancient history, humanity gains the opportunity to understand its own past more deeply, its place within the long flow of time, and a world that still contains countless mysteries waiting to be explored. For this reason, when facing what cannot yet be fully explained, human beings need to maintain an attitude of humility and a willingness to learn. Standing before the depth of history and the vastness of the universe, our current knowledge remains limited. Each new discovery is not meant to confirm that humanity has understood everything, but to remind us that there are still many things beyond our familiar ways of perceiving reality. Only by setting aside ego and remaining open to many different perspectives, from modern science to ancient records and the inherited wisdom of cultures, can humanity move closer to truth. It is precisely this humility that allows us to keep learning, expand our understanding, and hold a deeper respect for the mysterious world in which we live. As we come to the end of this journey, what remains is not a single definitive answer, but a deeper awareness of how vast, layered, and unfinished the story of humanity truly is. The question of what existed before Adam and Eve is not simply a matter of curiosity. It reaches into the foundations of how we understand creation, history, memory, and our own place in the world. When we look beyond a surface reading of Genesis and place the biblical narrative alongside ancient texts, lost civilizations, geological evidence, and enduring human traditions, a much wider horizon begins to emerge. The Bible itself never claims that reality begins with Adam and Eve in an absolute sense. Instead, Genesis introduces the story of this humanity, this covenant, and this moral chapter of Earth's history. What came before is hinted at, rather than erased. Traces appear in scripture, in apocryphal texts, in myths shared across continents, and in the physical remains buried beneath our feet. These echoes suggest cycles, resets, and worlds that rose and fell long before recorded history began. Throughout this video, we have seen that Earth carries memories far older than our current age. Civilizations appear, vanish, and leave fragments behind. Different forms of humanity emerge, adapt, and disappear. Giants and small-statured people, advanced knowledge, and sudden collapse, harmony. With nature and catastrophic imbalance, all of these patterns repeat again and again, as if history itself moves in seasons. And this realization invites something far more important than speculation. It invites humility. Modern science has achieved remarkable things, yet it continues to uncover evidence that challenges earlier assumptions. Ancient cultures preserved knowledge in stories and symbols that we are only beginning to re-examine with fresh eyes. Neither science nor ancient tradition alone holds the full picture. Truth seems to emerge most clearly when we allow them to speak together without arrogance, without fear, and without the need to force simple answers onto complex realities. If worlds existed before Adam and Eve, that does not diminish the biblical story, it deepens it. It reminds us that Genesis is not merely about beginnings, but about responsibility. About a moment when humanity was entrusted with moral choice, stewardship, and awareness. Adam and Eve marked not the first spark of life, but the beginning of accountability. Perhaps that is the hidden truth we are meant to reflect on. We are not the first beings to walk this earth, and we may not be the last. What defines us is not when we appeared, but how we live within the time we are given. Every civilization before us leaves the same silent question behind. Did they live in balance, or did they forget their place? As you rest now, let these thoughts settle gently, not as answers that close the mind, but as questions that open it. Questions that invite reverence rather than certainty, reflection rather than pride. The earth remembers far more than we do. History is deeper than we were taught, and truth often waits patiently beneath the surface for those willing to look with humility. Thank you for taking this journey with us. May your thoughts be calm, your curiosity remain alive, and your rest tonight be peaceful. Good night, and may wisdom continue to find you.